Chapter 891. Little brother, this is not a place you can enter. Please stop. The guard at the door said politely to Yang Wu when he saw Yang Wu. Yang Wu cupped his hands and said, I'm here to verify my alchemist rank. The guard looked at Yang Wu with confusion and said, Are you sure you're not an alchemist participating in the alchemy competition? Yang Wu paused for a moment before replying, No, my disciple is participating in the alchemy competition. The guard immediately laughed. Young man, don't mess around. This is not a place where you can cause trouble. Hurry up and leave. The guard's temperament was good and his words were gentle. He didn't seem to be overbearing at all. He had been guarding the door for many years and had seen all kinds of alchemists, so he was very cautious. He didn't judge a book by its cover. The young man in front of him was very outstanding. If he didn't come from a large family, then he came from a large sect. He didn't dare to offend him. Yang Wu said seriously, I'm really here to take the alchemist rank test. Please announce my arrival. Young man, do you know the rules of the Alchemist Union? What rules? Do you want a red packet? Don't talk nonsense. Our rules state that you need to have an invitation letter from the union or a recommendation from 2 alchemists in the union. Only then are you qualified to take the test. There's a rule like that? Then forget it. Yang Wu didn't expect the other party to have such a rule. Danzi hadn't told him about this before. Perhaps she didn't know about this rule either. Just as Yang Wu was about to leave, a voice sounded out, Young man, it's not that hard to enter the Alchemist Union. Yang Wu looked back and saw a slovenly little old man appear behind him. The old man was holding a wine jug in his hand. His nose was red and the smell of alcohol permeated the air. It was obvious that he had drunk a lot of wine. Yang Wu was actually unable to see through the little old man's cultivation level. The other party was either an ordinary person or someone stronger than him. He felt that the former was more likely. The little old man looked too ordinary, and he was wearing extremely cheap clothes. He didn't seem to have the demeanor of a big shot. When the guard saw the little old man, his eyes twitched. Just as he was about to kneel down, he was stopped by the little old man's gaze. Yang Wu did not notice this abnormality. He asked the other party, Is there any other way? There are 3 main requirements for an alchemist. The first is identifying herbs, the second is controlling fire, and the third is condensing the core. As long as you pass these 3 tests and prove that you are an alchemist, you will be able to participate in the Apothecary Alliance's examination. The little old man slowly walked over and said, Seeing that he was so drunk that he was about to collapse, she really suspected that he was talking drunkenly. Yang Wu couldn't help but step forward to help him up and asked, Then how can I participate in these 3 trials? It's simple. As long as you give me a jug of good wine, I will take you in for the trials, the little old man said with a smile. Yang Wu froze for a moment, as if he thought that the little old man was trying to trick him. However, he still took out a jug of medicinal wine that he had brewed and gave it to the little old man. This is the 8 drunken immortals that I brewed myself. It's quite strong, and it's enough for you and your family to drink it every time. You have to drink it at home so that you don't pass out drunk outside. That would be a sin. The 8 drunken immortals was a type of medicinal wine that could strengthen one's body and soul. The effects of the wine differed depending on the grade. The jug of wine that Yang Wu gave the little old man had extraordinary effects on Heaven Realm martial artists. The wine was also very fragrant, and it was easy to get addicted to it. As an alchemist, the medicinal wine that Yang Wu mixed for himself was naturally extraordinary. He gave it to the little old man because he felt that the little old man was someone who loved wine. It didn't matter if the little old man was sincere in helping him or if he was drunk. In any case, he liked the little old man. Yang Wu wasn't a stingy person to begin with. It didn't matter if he gave this jug of 8 drunken immortals to a fated person. The little old man took the wine jug and unceremoniously opened the lid. He took a whiff, and the intoxicating aroma instantly made him narrow his eyes and say, TSK, TSK, fragrant, really fragrant. Good wine, good wine. Saying this, he raised his head and drank in large mouthfuls. It looked like he wanted to drink the entire jug of wine in one go. Yang Wu wanted to open his mouth to stop him, but it was too late. He had reminded the little old man not to drink too much, especially if ordinary people drank it. They would explode from the medicinal strength. However, nothing happened to the little old man. His cloudy eyes became much brighter, and he couldn't help but praise, "It's really a fine wine. It's a pity that it's still young. If it could be stored for a few more years, it would definitely become a peerless wine." "Little guy, what good name does this wine have?" "Eight Drunken Immortals." Yang Wu was certain that the little old man in front of him was definitely not an ordinary person. Otherwise, how could he still be so sober after drinking his wine? Eight Drunken Immortals, eight Drunken Immortals. To be an immortal in a drunken dream. Good name, good name. The little old man muttered. His body swayed a few times, as if he was about to fall to the ground. Yang Wu was so scared that he hurriedly supported him. He shook off Yang Wu's hand and said, "Little guy, you don't need to support me. I'm known to not get drunk even after 1,000 cups." However, just as he finished speaking, he directly fell to the ground drunk. Yang Wu was completely speechless. He had thought that the other party was an amazing expert, but now it seemed that he was just like that. Yang Wu was about to carry the little old man and leave this place, but who knew that the guard would quickly run over and carry the little old man. He said to Yang Wu, "Little brother, since this old man allowed you to come in for the examination, then come in. I'll report this matter to the higher-ups." Yang Wu was stunned for a moment and said, "That works too. Come in." The old man is right. Our apothecary alliance does have this kind of rule, but we don't usually tell people. Please forgive us, little brother," the guard said as he carefully carried the little old man and brought Yang Wu inside. Yang Wu was at a loss, but he didn't think too much about it. In any case, it was enough as long as he could enter for the examination. The guard had Yang Wu wait at the entrance while he first went to settle the little old man down. Then, he hurriedly returned and brought a middle-aged man, wearing an apothecary's robe over. He introduced, "This is our Lord Xia Yunin. He will take you to the examination." Xia Yunin had a square face, spirited eyes, and a robust body. He had the aura of a superior being. He wasn't simply an ordinary apothecary. After Yang Wu slightly bowed to Xia Yun, and raised his eyebrows and said, "You want to take the apothecary examination?" Yang Wu lightly nodded and replied, "Yes, Lord Xia." Yang Wu could sense that this Xia Yun was at least in the dragon transformation realm. He also wore a unique emblem that looked quite noble. It was at least the emblem of a heavenly apothecary or even a little saint apothecary. Yang Wu couldn't help but suspect the little old man's identity. He definitely had an extraordinary relationship with the Apothecary Alliance. Xia Yun and didn't ask any more questions. He brought Yang Wu to a room not far away and had someone register Yang Wu's information. Yang Wu looked at the information that needed to be filled in and wrote it down without any hesitation. The Apothecary Alliance wouldn't accept a person of unknown origin into the alliance. They had to be pure in order to be accepted. No matter if it was a righteous or evil force, everyone had to have an origin. They had to write it down and register it, so that they could find their roots in the future. It was precisely because of this that they set the rule that those who wanted to take the alchemist examination had to be recommended by more than 2 members. Some rogue cultivators and wild cultivators were only selectively accepted, not every one of them, so as to avoid ruining their reputation. Yang Wu filled in the Yang Wu of the Yang clan. He didn't write in the Heavenly Palace. The Heavenly Palace hadn't appeared yet. He had to wait until he obtained the title of Dragon Emperor on the Heavenly Dragon ranking before he could call himself a member of the Heavenly Palace. The Battle Clan Realm's Yang clan also has an alchemist. That's quite surprising. Perhaps he's just an ordinary medicine king, Xia Yunin thought to himself. Then he thought, being able to meet Elder Zue is really a stroke of luck. After Yang Wu finished filling in his information, Xia Yun brought Yang Wu to an examination room. He said to Yang Wu, "Identifying herbs, controlling fire, and condensing pills. Only after completing these 3 tasks will you have the qualifications to participate in the examination. There are 49 herbs over there. Go and identify their names and effects." Yang Wu walked over to the herb rack and began to point at each herb, listing out their names and effects in an orderly manner. Identifying herbs was the foundation of an alchemist. As a saint alchemist, Yang Wu was just a child's play to him. Xia Yun and saw Yang Wu quickly identify the 49 herbs as if they were precious pearls. After that, he confirmed that Yang Wu had put some effort into identifying herbs. These 49 herbs didn't seem like a lot, but each one of them was extremely difficult to identify. They might be similar herbs or uncommon herbs. Alchemists who didn't have a deep understanding of herbs might make a mistake. However, the youth in front of him didn't make a mistake. He really did have some foundation. The second test is controlling fire. 108 iron birds will fly out here. Each iron bird's flight path is different, and their sizes are different as well. You have to use your true fire to hit the marked spots on them. You have to hit at least 100 of them. Start now, Xia Yunan said. He took a step forward as if he was stepping on a mechanism. Suddenly, 108 iron birds appeared out of thin air. These iron birds weren't living birds, but puppets controlled by an array. Their flying speed wasn't much different from real birds. Some were as big as a human head, and some were as small as a fist. Each iron bird was marked at a different location. Hitting the marks with fire wasn't an easy task. After all, these iron birds were constantly flying in a crisscrossing pattern. It wasn't just a test of one's ability to control fire, but also one's eyesight. Yang Wu looked at these iron birds. With a flick of his finger, bits of fire flew out from his finger, shooting at those flying iron birds. Bang! Bang! No matter how these iron birds flew, they weren't fast in his eyes. He used his fire to shoot down their marks. It couldn't be any simpler. In a few dozen breaths, these iron birds were all shot down. Chapter 892. After Yang Wu passed the second test, Xia Yun could conclude that he was an alchemist. However, Xia Yun didn't think too deeply about what level of alchemist he was. This youth was at most at the level of a medicine king, and he should be a youth who failed in the alchemy competition. Xia Yun brought Yang Wu through the last test. Only by passing the third test and proving that he was a medicine king could he enter the level test. There are 3 sets of herbs here. As long as you can use them to refine a king pill, you can participate in the alchemist level test. Xia Yun pointed at the messy pile of herbs. There were 3 sets of herbs here, and there were also some unimportant herbs. He had to pick out the useful herbs and make a set of king pill herbs before he could refine it. This was a test to condense the pill, and it also included the first 2 tests. First, identify the herbs, then refine the pill. Yang Wu looked at the herbs and nodded, no problem. Hee, you have 1 hour. I'll wait for you. Xia Yun looked at the calm Yang Wu and couldn't help but increase the difficulty of the third test. Refining a normal king pill required at least 2 hours. Xia Yun reduced the time by half because he wanted to see what was so great about the youth that it caught the eye of that lord. Yang Wu didn't have any objections. He didn't make a move and directly used his soul power to pick out the herbs he needed. Using the soul to control the medicine, Xia Yun exclaimed in his heart. This was a method that only little saint alchemists could do. Only heaven-level alchemists with outstanding talent had the qualifications to do this. The youth in front of him looked to be in his early 20s, but he was able to do this. It really made him feel shocked. Fire! Yang Wu lightly shouted. A true fire appeared and burned a nearby medicine cauldron. Yang Wu didn't dare to use his blue enchantress. That was a sacred flame. This high-level king cauldron couldn't withstand its burning, so he could only use his Xian Qi to form a true fire to refine the pill. Even if it was a true fire condensed from profound Qi, it was still stronger than many fire seeds. He needed to continue suppressing the firepower. Stalk after stalk of herbs quickly flew into the medicinal cauldron. The true fire was sometimes big and sometimes small. He controlled the temperature of the fire to refine the herbs. His movements were incomparably smooth and skillful. There was no doubt that he had the demeanor of a master. Xia Yun, who was at the side, could not help but view Yang Wu in a new light. He thought to himself, if he really is a heavenly alchemist, it might not be bad to consider taking him in as a disciple. Xia Yun was a member of Confusion City's Xia family. Originally, he had the opportunity to take over the position of family head, but he resolutely gave it up and chose to become an elder of the Apothecary Alliance. At the same time, he was also the altar master of this branch. He secretly supported the Xia family's development. It was much better than him being the family head. Although Xia Yun and was suspected of abusing his position for personal gain, he still did many things for the Apothecary Alliance. Yang Wu successfully condensed a king pill within an hour. Moreover, it was a third Tribulation King pill. If it weren't for the array isolating the seclusion room, there would definitely be heavenly lightning descending. Xia Yun looked at the furnace of flawless pills and was incomparably shocked. This was definitely an apothecary who had polished himself to perfection in the field of Medicine King. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to refine such good pills. Furthermore, there were as many as 18 pills. This success rate was somewhat high. If he knew that Yang Wu was still not satisfied with this, who knew how he would feel? After all, Yang Wu really had not done his best. Does this count as passing? Yang Wu looked at Xia Yun and asked. Xia Yun looked at Yang Wu with an incomparably gentle gaze. He said to Yang Wu, with your alchemy skills, the title of Newcomer Pill King is definitely yours to participate in the alchemy competition. Why don't you participate? My disciple is participating, so I won't be participating. Yang Wu hesitated for a moment before speaking. Your disciple? I see that your bone age is only 22 years old. Could it be that you can already refine heaven pills? Xia Yunan asked. Just now, he had a thought that he wanted to take Yang Wu as his disciple. Now that he heard Yang Wu say that he already had a disciple, he was slightly surprised. Heaven pills can also be refined, Yang Wu casually replied. Xia Yun looked at Yang Wu's expression and felt that Yang Wu was somewhat arrogant. He didn't bother with this matter and arranged for Yang Wu to take the assessment first. At the end, he would reveal his identity as a little saint apothecary. He believed that Yang Wu would kneel down and acknowledge him as his master. Young man, don't bite off more than you can chew, Xia Yun said and brought Yang Wu to another location to take the alchemist assessment. Yang Wu still didn't have an alchemist badge, so he was equivalent to an alchemist that wasn't recognized by the Alchemist Union. If he wanted to obtain an alchemist rank, he had to raise it level by level. This was because he had already refined a pill king and confirmed his identity as a medicine king. However, he still needed to refine a top-notch pill king and obtain a king grade badge before he had the qualifications to challenge for the heaven grade badge. Yang Wu didn't mind. For him, this was just a matter of lifting a finger. What he wanted to challenge for was the Saint Apothecary badge and increase the foundation of the Yang clan and the Heavenly Palace. This time, Xia Yunan didn't personally supervise Yang Wu's refining. Instead, he sent a deacon to watch over Yang Wu's alchemy assessment. He and the drunk little old man gathered at the top of the manor's tallest pavilion and looked down at the manor's alchemy field. Yang Wu was rapidly refining pills. Elder Zui, is this brat really worth paying attention to? Xia Yun looked at the little old man respectfully and asked. The little old man had already woken up. He was lying on his side by a railing. His cloudy eyes had become clear, and there was a flicker of light in them from time to time. He didn't look drunk at all. He loved alcohol, no matter if it was good wine or bad wine. He could get drunk until he got drunk. Moreover, he had a strange habit. When he drank a good wine that he really liked, he would directly fall to the ground drunk. This skill of getting drunk wasn't something that anyone could learn. Everyone here called him Elder Zui. Those who weren't familiar with him called him Elder Zui. He didn't mind at all. However, if one knew his identity, they would definitely obediently call him Lord Elder Zui. He had an extraordinary position in the Alchemist Union. There was a reason why he had appeared in Confusion City. This brat is born with a good appearance. He's worth paying attention to, Elder Zui replied. Elder Zui, could it be that you've taken a fancy to this child? Xia Yun asked again. He knew that Elder Zui had come this time to accept a disciple, so he asked this question. I've taken a fancy to him. I just don't know if this child is willing to take me as his master. There are so many people who want to take Elder Zui as their master. If he knew your identity, he would definitely take you as his master. That might not be the case. That's right. Didn't you find any good seedlings in the pill refinery field? For example, that child from my Xia clan. Don't recommend them. Those children are all average. There are one or two who are not bad. Unfortunately, They already have a master and aren't this Lord's cup of tea. The Alchemist Union's deacon's eyes became blurred. He muttered, so beautiful, so comfortable. Every movement is so harmonious. Every glance is so moving. Who in this world can be so peerless? Who in the heavens can compare to him? Those who didn't know better would think that he was looking at a peerless beauty. As it turned out, he was watching Yang Wu refine pills and became intoxicated. This deacon was a heavenly alchemist, and his alchemy skills were not bad. However, when he saw Yang Wu's smooth alchemy skills, he was also deeply attracted. He had seen many alchemists refine pills, and there was even no lack of little saint alchemists. Their alchemy skills were not as elegant and enchanting as this youth in front of him. A cauldron of king pills was quickly refined. This was a top-notch king pill. It was also a third tribulation pill, and every pill was flawless. That deacon looked at these pills and revealed a shocked expression. Then, he pulled Yang Wu's hand and held in his palm, saying, "Little brother Yang Wu, you are really too handsome when you refine pills." Yang Wu felt goosebumps appear on his skin. He quickly withdrew his hand and said, "Can I take the heavenly alchemist test now?" The deacon did not respond to Yang Wu's words. His eyes burned as he asked, "You still haven't answered my question. Can you teach me? I also want to become as handsome as you." Yang Wu instantly wanted to vomit. He cursed in his heart. Could it be that this old fellow has a homosexual fetish? The other party didn't look 60, but he was at least 58. He still wanted to be as handsome as him. Was this possible? My alchemy skills are SOSO. You should hurry up and arrange the next test for me. I don't have time to waste here, Yang Wu said sternly. The deacon still wanted to say something, but when he heard the instructions, his expression changed slightly. He didn't dare to waste any more time and quickly got down to business. You've concocted a peak grade 3 Tribulation King pill, so you can receive a gold yellow jade badge. If you want to continue the test, please continue concocting heaven pills. The higher the grade of heaven pills you concoct, the higher the badge you will receive. After pausing for a moment, he said with a trace of resentment, "I suggest you rest for a bit. Don't force yourself. What we alchemists avoid the most is being too hasty." The colors of the badges were yellow, red, blue, green, purple, and black, and each of them corresponded to Medicine King, Heaven Alchemist, Little Saint Alchemist, Saint Alchemist, Godly Alchemist, and the legendary Immortal Alchemist. Each level of alchemist had 4 different levels: iron, copper, silver, and gold. The gold yellow jade badge that Yang Wu obtained was equivalent to the highest level of Medicine King status. Only those who refined a 3 tribulation pill would be bestowed with this badge. If one refined a king pill and didn't attract a pill tribulation, then an ordinary Medicine King would be bestowed with the iron yellow jade badge. If one refined a 1 tribulation king pill, they would obtain the copper yellow jade badge. Yang Wu could hear the other party's good intentions. He nodded and replied, "I know what to do." With his strength, refining a cauldron of king pills did not consume much mental energy. Only refining divine pills would make him feel strained. Thus, this deacon arranged for Yang Wu to refine heavenly pills. Yang Wu directly refined a cauldron of heavenly fish pills. The heavenly fish pill was a high-quality pill among heavenly pills. Many heaven alchemists might not be able to successfully refine it on their first try. Yang Wu completed a cauldron of pills. Chapter 893. Another third tribulation heaven pill. Even though the heavens and earth had blocked out the lightning, the pill veins would still appear. The Apothecary Alliance's deacon was dumbfounded. From Yang Wu's actions, he could tell that Yang Wu was indeed an outstanding apothecary. However, he didn't expect Yang Wu to be so outstanding. He was able to refine a 3rd tribulation heaven pill at such a young age. Moreover, he succeeded on his first try. He didn't waste any time or herbs. At the very least, he was a monster who had comprehended a sliver of pill intent. The deacon looked at Yang Wu, his saliva almost dripping out. He liked alchemy. No, he was obsessed with alchemy. He was even more obsessed with alchemists who could refine pills beautifully. He felt that alchemy was a natural art. It was so beautiful that he couldn't help himself. Yang was flustered by the deacon's gaze. He said, "Lord Deacon, Don't look at me like that. I'm not a woman. How can a woman be as handsome as you? You're so handsome that you're unique. Even our altar master can't compare to you, the deacon said sincerely. Yang-Wu almost vomited on the spot. This was the first time he had experienced the feeling of a beautiful strategist being entangled by a man. It really was karma. Don't be like this. I'm not interested in men. You can go and harm others. Yang-Wu had the urge to run. He didn't want to test his apothecary rank anymore. Don't worry. I just like watching you refine pills. When you're not refining pills, I can still control myself. The deacon smiled shyly. Yang-Wu still didn't feel safe. He said, I've passed the heavenly apothecary test. Give me the badge. I won't continue the test. Before the deacon could speak, a voice rang out. How come you can still go up the test? Old Zue and Xia Yunan appeared. The one who spoke was Xia Yunan. When the deacon saw the two of them, he quickly bowed and greeted them. Greetings, Lord Zue, Lord Altarmaster. He then straightened his back and quickly ran over to old Zue. Long time no see, Lord Zue. I missed you. When will you let me see your alchemy skills again? The deacon was as shy as a little girl as he hugged old Zue's arm and swung it back and forth. Old man Zue's old face darkened. He waved his sleeves, and the deacon disappeared like a shooting star. He looked at Xia Yun and complained, Every time, you let this disgusting fellow come out to test others. Don't you feel ashamed? Xia Yun laughed dryly. It's not like he's gay. He's just too obsessed with alchemy. Then, he looked at Yang-Wu and said, Show us the pills you just refined. Yang-Wu glanced at the drunken old man. Just as he had guessed, the old man was a formidable figure. Yang-Wu handed the medicinal pill that he had just refined to Xia Yunan. Before Xia Yunan could take it, old man Zue had already snatched it away. He looked at it and smiled. Little guy, your alchemy skills are really good. Who is your master? Why were you unknown before? Your Yang clan doesn't have any outstanding alchemists. Old man Zue's gaze landed on Yang-Wu. Yang-Wu felt like he was being seen through. The old man was definitely a sage realm existence. Yang-Wu bowed slightly to old man Zue and said, I'm a disciple of the Yang clan. What master can I have? I just blindly refined it. Blindly refining can also refine a golden red jade seal, level heavenly alchemist. You're lying to this old man. Old man Zue didn't believe Yang-Wu's words at all. However, he didn't dwell on it and said, You still want to continue testing your level? Yang-Wu nodded and said, I think I can still go up. All right, let this old man test you. Once you've reached the level of Little Saint Alchemist, you must be able to refine iron, copper, silver, and gold-grade Little Saint pills. You can't just refine one pill to determine your level. Next, you'll refine an iron blue jade seal grade Little Saint pill. Old Zue said seriously. Blue represented Little Saint Alchemist. Iron, copper, silver, and gold represented the 4 levels of Little Saint Alchemist. The iron blue jade seal was equivalent to a normal Little Saint Alchemist. Yang-Wu had no objections. He wanted to reach the Little Saint Alchemist level in one go. Naturally, he wasn't afraid of any tests. When Yang-Wu passed the Alchemist Alliance's level test, the Alchemy Finals finally began. The remaining 100 people would enter the Newcomer King competition. The final victor would be decided today. This time, Dan Zi was accompanied by Lu Ji, Su Yin Shuai, Ai Sha, Shui Xiaofan, and the 6 demons to the alchemy competition. This place that could hold 10,000 people became very lively. Everyone was cheering for their own people. Danli, you're the best. You're the most handsome. You'll definitely win. Yin Chun, don't hold back anymore. Show off your alchemy talent here. Let everyone know the power of our medicine sex alchemy skills. Lai Hong, do your best. I have high hopes for you. Hoji, the glory of our fire monkey tribe depends on you. When Dan Zi and the others arrived, they were shocked when they saw the situation. I think we have too few people. Lu Ji looked at the audience and then looked at the people beside him. He touched his nose and said, Having more people doesn't mean you'll win. Su Yinshui said calmly. Dan Zi felt that Su Yinshui's words were very good. Just as she was about to praise him, he added, But looking at the situation, it'll be very difficult for Dan Zi to win. Uncle, it's wrong of you to attack big senior sister's confidence like this. Aisha said. She then comforted Danzi, "Big senior sister, do your best. Even if you can't win, don't be eliminated too quickly." Danzi couldn't help but flick AI Sha's forehead. It hurt so much that AI Sha shrank her neck pitifully, not daring to say anything else. On the other hand, Shui Xiaofan gathered his courage and said, Big senior sister, do your best." Danzi looked at Shui Xiaofan, who she had always looked down on, and nodded, "Don't worry. When I refine the best King Dan, I'll give you one." "Big senior sister, you can't be biased. I want one too," AI Sha said fawningly. "Hee, then you can pray that I win." Danzi laughed and entered the competition area with the token. She thought, where did Master go? Why didn't she come to watch my competition? She's so heartless. The others all took out money to buy seats and walked towards the audience stand. This was their first time witnessing the Transcendent Realm's small event. They felt that it was an eye-opener. Danzi once again encountered the judge, Sung Xuaning, who had been harassing her. He looked at Danzi's graceful figure from head to toe, looking extremely wretched. "Little girl, as long as you come to my room tonight, I guarantee that you'll be able to get a good ranking today. Even getting into the top 10 newcomer king wouldn't be a problem. What do you think?" Sung Xuaning transmitted his voice to Danzi. "Old pervert, get lost. I won't agree to it even if I die." Danzi shouted. This scared Sung Xuaning to death. This was a public place. Danzi's shout had ruined his reputation as a judge. Sure enough, the surrounding people all looked over. Their gazes fell on Danzi and Sung Xuaning, and they quickly understood what was going on. "What nonsense are you spouting? Do you believe that I won't immediately kick you out?" Sung Xuaning's old face felt hot, and he couldn't help but shout at Danzi. Kicking her out was equivalent to depriving Danzi of her qualifications to participate. Danzi wasn't one to admit defeat. She faced Sung Xuaning and shouted, "Seeing that this lady is beautiful, you want to sleep with me. Moreover, you can guarantee that I'll get into the top 10. Is this how the alchemy competition treats us female alchemists? I refuse to accept this." Sung Xuaning's eyes burned with anger. He wished he could slap Danzi to death. This woman was too blind. How could she see through his thoughts on the spot? At this time, he was determined not to admit it. Just as he was about to speak, another female alchemist also said, "He's an old pervert." He also hinted that he wanted to sleep with me. Fortunately, this lady isn't that kind of person. Everyone looked at that female alchemist and instantly cried out in surprise. Her taste is really not ordinary. This female alchemist was extremely fat. Would Sung Xuaning be able to eat her? In addition, another female alchemist said, "He also said the same thing to me. Ask this damned judge to leave. Otherwise, I won't dare to refine pills. He's too black-hearted." For a moment, 5 or 6 female alchemists began to accuse Sung Xuaning. Sung Xuaning completely panicked. He shouted, "Don't talk nonsense. I didn't say such things. You slander this lord. I will strip all of your qualifications. Why are you doing this? Are you the main judge? We firmly oppose. Otherwise, this matter won't be over. Don't think we're easy to bully. This kind of alchemy competition, it's fine to not participate." Several female alchemists were stirred up by Danzi's emotions. The other alchemists also pointed at Sung Xuaning. They all knew what kind of person he was. No one was wrong about him. "It's all because of you, you cheap slave. Get out of here." Sung Xuaning revealed a ferocious expression as he glared at Danzi and shouted. At this moment, an aged voice rang out, "Enough." In an instant, the whole audience was completely silent. A figure quietly appeared in the sky above the arena. After everyone saw him, they all saluted and greeted him. Greetings to the main judge. This old man in front of them was one of the 3 main judges of this year's alchemy competition, the little Saint Alchemist King Beigro. He was also the current patriarch of the Beigro family. "Sung Xuaning, your qualifications to be a judge have been revoked. Get out of here immediately," Beigro announced. Sung Xuaning's expression instantly became extremely pale. He struggled to say, "Lord Beigro, you have to believe in my character. Get out." Beigro King shouted without any trace of politeness. All the alchemists cheered and praised the main judge for handling this matter fairly. Sung Xuaning's body was on the verge of collapse as he rolled out of the arena in a daze. At this time, a voice sounded, "Brother Tsung, don't be so discouraged. She's only an abandoned daughter of my Dan family. I will help you vent this anger." Chapter 894. The finals of the alchemy competition. A total of 100 contestants were refining pills on the same stage. The scene was spectacular. Those young faces were constantly flipping the true fire in their hands. It was like a dazzling rainbow, appearing incomparably beautiful. Stalk after stalk of herbs continuously entered the medicinal cauldron. Soon, waves of medicinal fragrance filled the air. Every alchemist's foundation was incomparably solid. It depended on who could perform to the best of their ability and win the title of the alchemy competition. Nearly 10,000 spectators in the audience stared at the lively scene and watched the young alchemist discuss spiritedly. "We will soon find out who will be the champion of this year's competition. Don't talk nonsense. Look over there. Dan Lee is refining pills. Look at his smooth and experienced technique. He doesn't look like an ordinary medicine king at all. His technique is secondary. I heard that the fire in his hand was formed by a saint fire seed, spilled from a saint pill. It was formed after it merged with his body. Its firepower is extraordinary. Speaking of fire seeds, how can it compare to Hoji's innate demonic fire? It is rumored that he swallowed 3 types of high-level demonic fire before the competition and reached the peak of the Demon King realm in one fell swoop. The demonic fire in his hand has reached the level of heavenly fire and is extremely compatible with him. It is easy for him to refine pills. How about Yao Yanshin from the medicine sect? His fire seems to be just an ordinary fire. I don't see anything special about it. How ignorant. That might be a kind of innate fire seed. Did you see the flames of the contestants around him shrink? That is definitely a high-level fire. In the center of the field, a tall and handsome young man was flipping a dark green flame to refine pills. He had a confident smile on his face. With a flip of his hand, herbs were refined one after another. He was so calm and natural. He was Dan Lee from the Dan clan, one of the popular candidates for first place in this year's competition. In the territory of the Dan clan, no one can take the title of New Medicine King away. Dan Lee thought to himself. After a pause, he thought again. This time, I must attract the fire spirit to recognize me as its master. Dan Lee was the most outstanding young medicine king in the Dan clan in the past 100 years. It would be easy for him to become a little saint medicine king in the future. If he wanted to become a saint medicine king, he would have to rely on great opportunities. His great fortuitous opportunity was right here. It all depended on whether or not he could attract the support of the earth flame seed. In the southern corner, a man with an outstanding temperament was methodically concocting pills. He was not as handsome as Dan Lee, but he had an otherworldly aura, as if he was born with a unique temperament. He was Yao Yanshin from the medicine sect. His fire seed did indeed look very ordinary, but not many people present knew that this was the spiritual fire that he had awakened from his innate talent. It was of a much higher level than ordinary true fire. As long as I can get a wisp of the earth fire spirit, it will be easy to break through to the heavenly fish realm. Don't disappoint me, Yao Yanshin thought to himself. In fact, he didn't care about the title of Medicine King of the Year. To a genius like him, who could refine heaven pills, was this title important? He just wanted to use the fire spirit here to help him reach a higher level of martial arts. In the northern direction, a fire monkey spirit demon was concocting pills. He maintained the appearance of a spirit demon and did not transform into a human. He wore a long robe and looked like a primitive monkey man. His eyes flashed with craftiness from time to time. The fire in his palm was constantly jumping, as if it was a part of his body. He could control it as he wished. He was Hoji of the Fire Monkey clan, and he had an extraordinary talent in alchemy. This time, I will concoct a furnace of top spirit demon pills. Breaking through to the heavenly demon realm as soon as possible is the way to go. Everything else is just fleeting clouds, Hoji thought excitedly. In different directions, there were different outstanding young alchemists. Their alchemy skills were smooth and pleasing to the eye. It was too much for the eye to take in. In the northern direction, Dan Z was concentrating on concocting pills, just like all the other alchemists. During this period of time, she had followed Yang Wu and received a lot of Yang Wu's true teachings. Her alchemy skills improved by leaps and bounds. She was originally only able to concoct First Tribulation Pill Kings, but now she could concoct Second Tribulation Pill Kings, and even Third Tribulation Pill Kings occasionally appeared. In this alchemy competition, she did not expect to win in one fell swoop, but she wanted to try her best to enter the top 10. She did not want to waste Yang Wu's careful teachings. Yang Wu gave her a wisp of sacred fire and taught her the Soul Control Heart Sutra. These were enough to help her quickly improve her alchemy skills, but it was not enough. Everything depended on her performance on the spot. Before concocting pills, she was disgusted by Tsang Xuaning. She held her breath. If she could not concoct a good enough pill king, she was afraid that she would be regarded as a woman who looked good but was useless. She had to fight for her dignity. She recalled what her master had taught her. Every herb is a part of a pill. If we want to fuse them together, we have to infuse our mental energy into the herbs to understand each of their characteristics, as well as the required proportions. How to fuse the pills together in the most perfect way depends on whether or not we put our heart into refining the pills, no matter what you did. As long as you put your heart into it, you could move the heavens and earth. Danzi had been exposed to alchemy since she was young. She had always been nurtured by her grandfather, so her foundation was incomparably solid. After being taught by Yang Wu, she displayed her talent in alchemy. Her essence, energy, and spirit increased by a large margin, and every herb was successfully extracted. It was also at this time that the wisp of sacred fire Yang Wu gave her gradually fused with her. Suddenly, a meridian in her body underwent a strange change. Waves of heat were constantly transmitted, as if something was about to emerge from it. Pung! Danzi did not have time to prepare before a wisp of fire suddenly appeared in her body. Moreover, it began to fuse with the wisp of sacred fire Yang Wu gave her. Danzi cried out involuntarily. The fire in her palm was too fierce, completely destroying the essence of the herbs in the cauldron. All of this was not over. The power of the fire seed in her body had just awakened. It was a wisp of innate vein fire, a power that belonged to her innate potential. A wisp of pink flames appeared on her body. It greedily absorbed the surrounding flames, constantly strengthening its own ability. Danzi was aware of her own situation. She did not have time to think too much and directly sat down cross-legged to control the awakened fire seed. Moreover, she absorbed the flames here to her heart's content. She had already forgotten that she was in the middle of an alchemy field, surrounded by 10,000 spectators. The true fires of the surrounding alchemists were all affected. A lot of their flames had been absorbed by Danzi, causing them to destroy the herbs in their hands. They all opened their mouths to curse loudly. Bastard, who sucked away my flames. My lipid grass. Just who is disturbing our alchemy? This is too much. Someone must have used a high-grade flame to absorb the power of our true fires. How despicable. Who doesn't have a high-grade fire seed? Increase the flames. Let's see whose fire seed is stronger. The alchemists present did not dare to be distracted. Even if their true fires were affected, the competition still continued. During the competition, it was allowed to compete with each other's flames. This was an unwritten rule among the alchemists. Not many people in the spectator seats could see what was going on. Only a few powerful martial artists noticed the clues. On the judging panel, the 3 main judges and the 10 assistant judges all knew what was going on. They were alchemists and were extremely sensitive to the changes in flames. They quickly found the source of the problem. Is it that girl again? King Beigro raised his thick eyebrows and muttered. The fire seed is abnormal. Could it be that she attracted the fire spirit to choose its master? Another main judge said. He was the little saint of the Dan clan, Danjingi. After a pause, he exclaimed, No, this is very similar to my clan's true fire peach pink flame. Although Danjingi did not belong to the direct line of descent, he was still an honored elder in the Dan clan. That little girl also seems to be surnamed Dan. Isn't she a member of your Dan clan? An old main judge asked faintly. This main judge was called Ho Hui, an old alchemist of the Fire Monkey clan. He was also Ho Ji's great-grandfather. Could it really be my clan's innate true fire? But why don't I recognize her? Dan Jingyi asked with a puzzled expression. There are so many members of your Dan clan. How could you possibly recognize each and every one of them? I think this little girl has just awakened her innate true fire. That's why she attracted a large amount of firepower. Looks like she's also a little genius, King Begro said with a hint of envy. The other assistant judges also revealed scorching expressions. They all knew what awakening an innate true fire meant to an alchemist. There were so many alchemists present, and the number of alchemists who awakened their innate true fire definitely did not exceed the number of fingers on one hand. Danzi obtaining such a lucky chance truly made people's eyes turn red with envy. Elder, she's our Dan clan's traitor Danlong's granddaughter, Danzi. One of the assistant judges transmitted a message to Dan Jingyi. This assistant judge was Dan Yuan, who had been beaten up by Yang Wu. He appeared on the judging panel of the finals. Even Danzi did not notice his existence. Dan Long, the younger cousin who followed the Battle Clan's Yang clan? Dan Jingyi thought for a moment before replying. That's right, it's him. His granddaughter has awakened our clan's peach-pink flame. We can't let her wander outside as she pleases. We must bring her back to the clan to deal with her, Dan Yuan suggested. Dan Jingyi nodded lightly and said, when it's over, you can talk to her. Elder, I'm afraid I can't do that. She has the Yang clan's people by her side. They're not weak at all. Don't worry. In our Dan clan's territory, the Yang clan's people wouldn't dare to cause any trouble. Then I'll do as you say. In the depths of this alchemy field, there was an extremely well-hidden earth flame vein. In fact, this was an earth flame seed that had been sealed here by the Dan clan. It had not yet become a sacred flame, so the Dan clan sacred elder had not harvested it yet. He even used it as an excuse to hold alchemy competitions every year to earn money. Suddenly, a wisp of flame forcefully broke through the seal and drilled out. Chapter 895. Rumble, rumble. Terrifying heavenly lightning fell from the sky above the Apothecary Alliance's branch. This was heavenly lightning that had reached the saint level. The phenomenon it caused was extremely terrifying. Dark clouds gathered for thousands of miles. A thundercloud covered the sky above the Apothecary Alliance's branch. Wave after wave of terrifying heavenly lightning fell like dragons. Each bolt was powerful enough to destroy the Apothecary Alliance's manor. Even Bewilderment City was about to be reduced to dust by this wave of heavenly lightning. An anxious voice sounded, "Little guy, you've caused a huge ruckus this time. Don't worry, it won't destroy your place." A calm voice sounded. Suddenly, a true dragon soared into the sky and charged into the wave of heavenly lightning, preventing it from falling to the ground. The people below were dumbfounded. They felt that this was all unreal. This terrifying commotion attracted the fear of everyone in the city. Even the alchemy competition was greatly affected. Everyone was pale with fright as they watched the heavenly lightning gather. The power of each bolt of heavenly lightning was not something they could withstand. Why would such terrifying heavenly lightning suddenly fall? Could it be that a demon saint is undergoing a tribulation here? Hurry up and activate the formation. Don't let the heavenly lightning affect their alchemy. Will the grand formation be able to withstand it? Why? Why do I feel like my legs are weak? Could this be a tribulation caused by a saint alchemist's alchemy? There was a commotion in the alchemy competition. It was the same underground. A wisp of flame rushed out from the depths of the ground. It charged directly toward a young girl who was sitting cross-legged. This wisp of flame silently bloomed. It caused quite a commotion, but it was completely covered by the heavenly lightning tribulation. Only a few people noticed its appearance. Among them was Dan Yuan, who had been paying attention to Dan Zi. This guy still refused to give up on his evil intentions. The fire spirit has chosen its master. The fire spirit has chosen its master. Dan Yuan couldn't help but exclaim softly. His voice was not soft. Soon, it attracted the attention of many people. They all looked toward the young alchemists, trying to find out who had obtained the great opportunity of choosing their master. Soon, many people's gazes landed on Danzi. She seemed to be wrapped in a flame. It was as if she was a peach fairy that had grown out of a flower. She looked so delicate and beautiful. Bang, bang. In an instant, many furnaces of herbs were destroyed. On one hand, it was because of the heavenly lightning. On the other hand, it was because of the changes in Danzi's body. Many alchemists beat their chests and stomped their feet. They were extremely vexed. What right does this woman have to steal my fire spirit? Get over here. Danley glanced in Danzi's direction and spoke with deep dissatisfaction. She didn't care about her pills and formed a seal with her hands, urging her true fire to absorb the fire spirit. Yao Yanqin didn't care about his alchemy anymore. He silently activated his innate true fire, hoping to resonate with the fire spirit and snatch it away. P.S. Hey. Of course, they did not dare to take it by force. After all, there was a rule here. The fire spirit would belong to whoever could attract it. No one could interfere. Otherwise, the Alchemist Union would interfere. The Dan clan, as the host, would also interfere. After Dan Zheng-yi knew that Danzi was from the Dan clan, he had an idea. He could not let such a talented girl wander outside. Although Dan Long had some small problems with the Yang family, it was far from betrayal. At most, Dan Long chose to serve the Yang family in order to fulfill his promise. Someone had tried to ruin his reputation. The Dan family also had many people serving as honored guests in the various great forces, so it was not surprising. Dan Long's matter was not a big deal. The premise was that Dan Zi returned to the Dan clan. At the same time, he knew Dan Yuan's character. He would not let go of an opportunity to take advantage of her. When the time came, he would stop him. He believed that the little girl would know what to do. No matter how the other alchemists tried to attract the fire spirit's attention, the fire spirit had already merged into Danzi's body. They could not take it. Danzi felt better and better. Not only did she refine the sacred fire that Yangwu gave her, but she also awakened the peach-pink flame. This was a type of innate true fire that had appeared in the history of the Dan clan. It was the ancestor who had the peach-pink flame that led the Dan clan to become strong. Otherwise, the Dan clan would not be able to have such a grand occasion. Countless years had passed. The peach-pink flame was not passed down. The Dan clan could only rely on their strong foundation to merge with other true fires to maintain their current prosperity. Danzi naturally did not know this. After the peach-pink flame was awakened, it needed to absorb a large amount of firepower. The fire spirit of the earthly flame vein was suddenly added to her body. It perfectly merged with her peach-pink flame and rapidly strengthened it. At the same time, Danzi's strength rapidly soared. From the high-level Earth-Sea realm, she officially stepped into the peak Earth-Sea realm. Moreover, there were no signs of stopping. After reaching the peak of the Earth-Sea realm in one go, her aura was completely restrained. Not only that, the vein fire she awakened reached the level of heavenly fire in one go. It had a bit more spirituality. The peach blossoms that reflected on her body were tender and beautiful. When she broke through, several waves of heavenly lightning continued to roll in the sky. Fortunately, the thunderclouds moved outwards and did not really fall on Bewilderment City. This made everyone feel relieved. If everyone knew that this wave of heavenly lightning was artificially attracted and blocked with her own strength, who knew how they would feel? After Danzi finished breaking through, her condition was unbelievably good. It was hard for others not to pay attention to her. In the audience, Lu Ji patted his chest and said, "Fortunately, nothing went wrong. Otherwise, I really don't know how to explain it to Yang Wu." Lu Ji could step into the dragon transformation realm at any time, so he could clearly sense the changes in Danzi's body. He was afraid that someone would snatch Danzi's opportunity, so he was prepared to take action at any time. Su Yinshui was not very worried. He had not reached the heavenly fish realm yet. In the transcendent realm, he was afraid that he did not have the ability to help. Aisha and Shui Xiaofan, on the other hand, were confused. They didn't quite understand the situation. King Beigro's voice sounded. "There is still an hour left for refining pills. Everyone, hurry up." The alchemists who were absent-minded wailed. They quickly regained their senses and entered the state of refining pills again. They struggled to see if they could attract the fire spirit to choose their master again. If they could not, they had to get into the top 10. It's the last hour. There should still be time. Danzi stretched her waist and that exaggerated curve instantly caused the nearby youngsters to have nosebleeds. She was a bit too fierce. Danzi readjusted her emotions. Recalling her master's method of refining pills, a faint smile appeared on her delicate face. She began to extract the herbs again. Refining a cauldron of king pills in an hour was very difficult for many king-level alchemists. It was only possible if they were genius-level alchemists. The premise was that no mistakes were made. Danzi's strength increased, so the speed of refining pills naturally increased as well. An hour passed quickly. Before this, people had already condensed their pills. There was an isolation array here, so no heavenly lightning fell. However, the fragrance of the condensed pills was still very tempting. Damn it! Why did I only refine a first tribulation pill? This is definitely not my level. You're lucky. My materials were all destroyed. I didn't even have a chance to condense a pill. It's all that woman's fault. Haha, my third tribulation pill is complete. The title of new king of medicine will belong to me. Only a second tribulation pill. There's no hope of entering the top 10. The series of shocking events caused many alchemists to fail. Even if they succeeded, there were only a few third tribulation pills. Danzi also succeeded in condensing her pill. It was just about time. It should be good. Danzi thought nervously in her heart. In this hour, her condition had been very good. She had successfully condensed her pill. As for how she had done, she would only know after watching. When she opened the lid, a smile like a peach blossom appeared on her face. She looked quite satisfied. The competition is over. Competitors, please present your pills together. The judges will begin to examine them. King Begro's voice sounded. The surrounding audience was nervous and excited. They all wanted to see who would obtain the title of New King of Medicine of the Year this time. When Danzi finished her pill, she saw Dan Yuan sitting in the assistant judge's seat and smiling at her. Her expression instantly turned ugly. Dan Yuan smiled at Danzi. He didn't need to say anything. The results quickly came out. Danzi's Earth King pill had the highest score and became this year's New King of Medicine of the Year. Among the 100 ginseng alchemists, a total of 16 people had successfully refined a third tribulation medicine. This was the fewest in the past 10 years. Among so many third tribulation pills, Danzi's grade was the highest. Moreover, she had condensed the most. She had condensed 7 Earth King pills at once, which was 2 more than Danli and Yao Yanchen. She had taken first place without any surprise. Danzi found it hard to believe that she had won first place. She couldn't help but laugh. However, before she could rejoice, Dan Yuan's voice rang out. Danzi, as long as you admit that you're a member of the Dan clan, the first place will be yours. If you don't admit it, it won't have much to do with you. This time, Danzi couldn't deal with Dan Yuan like she dealt with Sung Xuaning. This was the Dan clan's territory. Danzi chose to ignore him and let the main judge announce the final result. In order to give the most fair and satisfactory results, we received a notice from the Alchemist Alliance. Altar Lord Xia will personally come to the venue. He will personally confirm the results before announcing them. Please wait patiently. Chapter 896. This was an alchemy competition organized by the Dan clan. The Dan clan was one of the main members of the Alchemy Alliance. They represented a portion of the Alchemy Alliance's will, including the other judges. This scale was enough to recognize the value of the competition. Now that Xia Yun was going to be the final judge, it was really confusing. They didn't mind, but it was good to see the Altar Master's glory. Xia Yun was a member of the Xia clan. He had almost taken over the Xia clan's position, but he had resolutely given up. With him as the Altar Master of the Alchemy Alliance, it represented the Xia clan's position in the Alchemy Alliance. The Dan clan didn't dare to suppress them too much. Sometimes, they even had to give the Xia clan some benefits to avoid being criticized by the Alchemy Alliance for being unsightly. Xia Yun was a genius alchemist. He had shown in many alchemy competitions in the past. In the future, he might even become a saint alchemist. Many young alchemists also wanted to meet this legendary figure. During this time, all the pills were sealed up. No changes were allowed. Dan Yuan invited Danzi to the back for a chat, but Danzi ignored him. Just you wait. I won't let you even enter the top 10, Dan Yuan said fiercely. All the judges entered the resting area in the back to discuss the final rankings. Danzi's pills are worthy of the title of Rookie Pill King of the Year. Dan Li, Yao Yin Chun, Ho Ji, they're all in the top 10. What do you think? King Bagro said. Monkey Hui said, I have no objections. Dan Yuan knocked on the armrest and said, Judges, I think Dan Z should forget about the rankings. She obtained the Fire Spirit's Master and her strength increased. It affected many people's performance. Although she's a member of the Dan clan, we won't favor her. Dan Yuan said with a face full of righteousness. The judges present all had a puzzled look. Since it was a member of the Dan clan who won, why would they give up first place? Was there something wrong with their heads? However, they soon felt relieved. Danley was the Dan clan's main focus. Perhaps they wanted her to take the top spot. Alchemy depends on one's own methods. As long as she doesn't break the rules and takes first place, we have no objections. But if you want to take her down, I'm afraid she won't be convinced. Another judge said, Hee hee, why would the members of our Dan clan be unconvinced? Dan Yuan laughed. After that, he turned to Dan Jingyi and said, Our clan elder is here. Let him decide. Everyone's gaze was focused on Dan Jingyi. Dan Jingyi clearly knew what Dan Yuan meant. It was nothing more than suffering a loss at the hands of the other party. Therefore, it started to play this little trick to deal with the little girl first. Dan Jingyi was still very opposed to Dan Yuan's actions, but when he thought about how that little girl had awakened their clan's peach-pink flame, he had to rope her in. This was a great merit, and he definitely couldn't miss it. Take him down. Dan Jingyi pondered for a moment before making a decision. At this time, Xia Yunin arrived. Greetings to Altar Lord Xia. Everyone saluted and greeted Xia Yunin. Greetings, everyone. Sorry for disturbing you. Xia Yunin smiled and cupped his hands in response. It's our honor for Altar Lord Xia to come. Altar Lord Xia came out to cheer these young alchemists on. They're so happy. Altar Lord, our conclusion is out. Please come and take a look. The judges here all warmly greeted Xia Yun. It could be seen that they respected Xia Yun and from the bottom of their hearts. Xia Yun liked this kind of atmosphere. He smiled and said, We're all old friends, so there's no need to be polite. Then, follow me to reveal the results. Today, he was in a very good mood after witnessing the appearance of a saint alchemist in front of him. When he recognized this fact, he was so scared that he almost peed his pants. At the beginning, he had received the other party, but later on, he handed it over to his subordinates to supervise. He didn't treat the other party seriously. When the youth leveled up again and again, he was quite shocked. He was also worried that the other party would bear a grudge against him. That would be troublesome. Fortunately, the other party didn't put on airs, and his character was quite good. Finally, he had formed a good relationship with him. In the future, when this matter was brought up, he would have a lot of face. There were many alchemists in the transcendent realm, but the number of saint alchemists definitely didn't exceed 5,000. The entire transcendent realm had tens of billions of people, so it could be seen how noble saint alchemists were. A saint alchemist in his early 20s was definitely a heavenly talent. It was as rare as phoenix feathers and Qilin horns. Even in the medicine sect and pill clan, these factions that focused on alchemy, it was hard to find one. To be able to reach the realm of saint alchemist within 100 years was already considered a peerless prodigy, let alone one in his 20s. If a youth's name was exposed, who knew how many people would be stunned? At the same time, he also suspected whether the other party was an old monster who had regained his youth. However, Old Man Zue was sure that the youth was in his early 20s. It was just that his physical body was sanctified. He couldn't help but exclaim, The medicine fairy has descended. The reason why it was difficult for alchemists to increase their realm was mainly because of their own cultivation. To become a medicine king, one had to reach the Earth-Sea realm to have enough profound qi to support alchemy. To become a heavenly alchemist, one had to reach the heavenly fish realm. Otherwise, if one's mental strength wasn't enough, they wouldn't be able to support alchemy. To have both at the same time, that was extremely difficult. One had to put in double the effort and accumulate over a long period of time. There were even some alchemists who would eat the medicinal pills that they refined to increase their realm. This was not a bad method. However, constantly relying on medicinal pills to increase their realm would often lead to a lack of improvement in the later stages. There was no way to step into a higher realm, and they would stop in the end. This was also where many alchemy geniuses were most vexed. Humans were born with a good side and a bad side. Wanting to have the best of both worlds was heaven's favorite. In their view, Yang Wu was undoubtedly heaven's favorite. Xia Yun brought a group of judges to the outside of the alchemy field. The spectators all around were shouting Xia Yun's name. It could be seen that his prestige here was very high. Xia Yun was very satisfied. He greeted everyone and began to look at the medicinal pills sealed here. The medicinal pills here had basically already been confirmed once, and the rankings were already out. It was only Xia Yun's sudden visit that disturbed their arrangements. Fortunately, it was not a big deal and did not take up too much time. When Xia Yun and the others appeared, Yang Wu and the drunk old man quietly appeared in the venue. They were at the top of the audience seats, and no one noticed their existence. Yang Wu, who is your disciple? How long has she been learning from you? The drunk old man lazily leaned on his seat and asked. Yang Wu pointed at Danzi below and said, "It's her. She hasn't been teaching for long, but she's taught everything she can. The future will depend on her." The drunk old man glanced at Danzi and said lecherously, "You brat have good eyesight, taking in such a fierce disciple. It makes this old man want to take in such a disciple too. Looking at her every day is refreshing." Yang Wu disdainfully said, "You're too impure. Hee, young man, a relationship between master and disciple. You must pay attention to your image." The drunk old man laughed after drinking a mouthful of wine. After witnessing Yang Wu's identity as a sane alchemist, the drunk old man treated Yang Wu as someone on equal footing. This youth had such qualifications. At this time, Xia Yun began to announce the final results of the alchemy competition. Danley refined 5 third tribulation Violent King pills and won the title of Rookie Pill King of the Year. The tall youth was stunned for a moment, then he laughed with joy. He thought that he had no fate with first place, but who knew that a meat pie would suddenly fall on his head. Second place is Yao Yin Shun. He refined 5 third tribulation extreme speed pills. Third place is Ho Ji. He refined 4 third tribulation Demon King pills. After each name was announced, waves of cheers rang out, and the atmosphere was extremely high. Danzi was so angry that her whole body trembled. She looked at the proud gaze from the judges, and her heart was filled with grievance and sadness. This is the consequence of not being willing to admit that you're from the Dan clan. Dan Yuan secretly sneered. After pausing for a moment, he said, "If you're willing to sleep with me for a night, maybe I can help you get a top 10 spot. You guys are shameless. I don't accept this." Danzi clenched her fists and angrily cursed. Xia Yunin was stunned. He looked at the beautiful young lady who didn't leave, as if she had a problem with him. "What's wrong with you? You dare to question our judgment? Hurry up and get out." Dan Yuan immediately jumped out and reprimanded. "Don't worry, I'll get out, but please return the 7 Earth King pills I refined." Danzi also didn't want to argue. All of this was meaningless. In any case, she already obtained what she wanted the most. She didn't want the title of Rookie Pill King of the Year. "When did you refine 7 Earth King pills? There are only 2 second tribulation healing pills. Take them and leave." Dan Yuan hurriedly threw a bottle of pills to Danzi and said. Danzi did not accept the pill. She felt extremely wronged in her heart as she shouted, "You shameless liars! I clearly refined 7 Earth King Dan just now. It's one thing to take my name down, but you even swapped my pills. This is the alchemy competition organized by your Dan clan. It's truly an eye-opener. You crazy woman, stop shouting and slandering the fairness of our alchemy competition. Men, hurry up and arrest her," Dan Yuan said with a sinister smile. The other judges all knew the inside story. Some of them were faintly dissatisfied, but when they thought about how the rewards were provided by the Dan clan, they could only turn a blind eye. Xia Yunin frowned and didn't express any opinions. He guessed that there was definitely something fishy, but he didn't know what was going on and didn't dare to jump to conclusions. Danzi saw that the situation wasn't good and turned to leave. She knew how powerful the Dan clan was. If she was caught, not only her, but even Lu Ji, Su Yin Shui, and the others would be implicated. Quickly capture this troublemaker. We can't let her escape. Try touching a single hair on her head. Chapter 897. When the audience saw the situation, they were all waiting to watch a good show. They were all silently cursing in their hearts. They felt that Danzi was a troublemaker. She had just sent a judge away before the start of the alchemy competition, and now she was saying that the judges were unfair. They didn't believe Danzi anymore. Lu Ji, Su Yin Shui, and the others all stood up from the audience. Especially Barbarian Elephant, Barbarian Tiger, and Barbarian Bull. They released their auras as they prepared to rescue Danzi. However, before they could make a move, someone had already appeared beside Danzi. Danzi looked at the figure descending from the sky and rushed over with a sobbing voice. Master! Under such circumstances, Yangwu really had no way to push Danzi away and could only let her hug him. That heavy position pressed down firmly, and his chest suddenly felt a little stuffy. Fortunately, in this situation, he didn't have time to think too much. Looking at the guards who were surrounding them, his oppressive gaze was like thunder and lightning, forcing them to involuntarily stop in their tracks. When Dan Yuan saw Yang Wu appear, he also shrank back. It was clear that he still hadn't recovered from the trauma of being beaten by Yang Wu. Dan Yuan was very clear about Yang Wu's battle strength. He wouldn't fight Yang Wu head-on. He sternly said, "This is the alchemy field. Why did an outsider like you come in here? What are the guards standing there for? Get rid of all of them." "Wait," Xia Yunan hurriedly said. Yang Wu glanced at Xia Yunan. His lips moved slightly, as if he was saying something. Xia Yunan was stunned for a moment, then said, "Let's figure out what's going on first. You're not allowed to randomly hurt people." "Yes." The guards who rushed over all responded in unison. Although this was the Dan clan's venue, the Alchemist Alliance's status was extraordinary. They had absolute authority here, and the Dan clan couldn't surpass them. It had to be known that the Alchemist Alliance's Alliance Master was a true godly alchemist. He was a giant in the entire transcendent world, and was on the same level as the strongest people. The Alchemist Alliance's relationship with the various powers was very complicated. The Dan clan was one of the members, so they had to follow the rules. When Dan Yuan heard Xia Yunan speak, he knew that things weren't going well. Dan Jingyi gloomily glared at Dan Yuan, as if saying, "You're the one who started this, so you should settle it." Dan Yuan's Adam's apple bobbed as he said to Xia Yun, "Altar Lord Xia is like this. She refined 2 second tribulation healing pills and didn't rank in the top 10. That's why she's scolding people in anger. Please allow us to chase them out." He paused for a moment, then emphasized, "She is a traitor of our Dan clan." His last sentence seemed to be a little superfluous. Dan Jingyi coldly snorted and said, "This is our Dan clan's internal affairs. Don't get involved here." Dan Yuan shivered and didn't dare to say anything else. He only looked at Dan Zi with a strong sense of warning. "You're talking nonsense. It's all your side of the story. I clearly refined 7 Earth King pills," Dan Zi said loudly. "Do you think that all of us judges are purposely making things difficult for you? I advise you to leave now. Otherwise, if things get out of hand, it won't be good for anyone," Dan Yuan continued to warn. "Hee, it seems like you're not afraid of being slapped. You actually dare to threaten my disciple." Yang Wu couldn't help but sneer. "You, what do you want to do? This is Confusion City, our Dan clan's territory." Dan Yuan shivered and said he had a shadow of Yang Wu. He was afraid that Yang Wu would beat him up if he didn't agree. Yang Wu no longer paid attention to Dan Yuan. He looked at Dan Zi and calmly said, "Dan Zi, tell me what happened in front of everyone. Master will make the decision for you." The surrounding people suddenly felt a strong sense of oppression. They all exclaimed in their hearts, "This youth has such a strong aura." Yang Wu broke through to the dragon transformation realm. His aura was like that of a real dragon. Even a half-sage would feel inferior to him. After Dan Zi calmed herself down, she concisely recounted what had just happened. She repeatedly emphasized that she had refined 7 Earth King Dawn and not 2 healed Dawn. The other party had swapped her Dawn with the Dawn. Don't slander me, Dan Yuan shouted. Then he looked at Dan Jingyi and begged, Elder, please help me prove it. Dan Jingyi's qualifications were not inferior to Xia Yun. Moreover, this was their Dan clan's alchemy arena. As long as he spoke, everything would be decided. The other judges didn't say anything. This was the other party's family matter. It wasn't convenient for them to speak. Moreover, the Dan clan was powerful. They didn't want to fall out with the other party. Dan Jingyi was very dissatisfied, but after a moment of hesitation, he stood beside Dan Yuan and said, The results are out. Don't make a ruckus here. There won't be any results. Hurry up and leave. Otherwise, don't even think about leaving. It didn't matter who this youth was. Could he still cause trouble in their Dan clan's territory? After Yang Wu glanced at Dan Jingyi, he finally looked at Xia Yin and asked such big words. Altar Lord Xia, do you think so too? Xia Yun's heart skipped a beat. He quickly stood up and replied, Yang Sheng, young Master Yang, let me settle this matter. You can just watch from the side. If you're not satisfied, you can ask me. In the next moment, he looked at a deputy judge and asked, Xia Hofa, tell me what's going on. If you dare lie, I'll cripple you. In the crowd, an ordinary-looking middle-aged man trembled and immediately said, Altar Lord, this has nothing to do with me. It's their Dan clan's internal matter. Dan Yuan said that this girl is from their Dan clan. Because she attracted the fire spirit to choose its master, it affected the other's performance. Therefore, she took the title of champion. She really did concoct 7 Earth King pills. She should be the new pill king of the year. This middle-aged man was from the Xia clan. Xia Yun's position in the Xia clan was very high. How could he dare to hide it? Although the Xia clan's influence wasn't as great as the Dan clan's, they weren't a subordinate force of the Dan clan. They weren't afraid of the Dan clan, especially in Confusion City. At this moment, Monkey Hui also laughed and said, Hee hee, the Dan clan's idea is dog sh*t. This time, they've eaten dog sh*t. This little girl is indeed the champion. Everything just now was a good show put on by the Dan clan. If this continues, who will participate in the alchemy competition in the future? Dan Yuan's face was extremely pale as he said, Don't speak nonsense. Enough. Since things have come to this, let's say it openly. We have indeed taken away her title as the champion. Firstly, she affected the other's performance. Secondly, she is an abandoned daughter of the Dan clan. She doesn't have the qualifications to participate in the Dan clan's grand event. Men, capture her and bring her back to the clan. Dan Jingyi was more responsible than Dan Yuan. When he realized that there was no way to hide the matter, he directly gave the order to capture Dan Zi. Just as the guards were about to take action, Xia Yun roared at Dan Jingyi, Dan Jingyi, what is the meaning of this? You've done something wrong, yet you're still in the right? Xia Yun, this has nothing to do with you. You should step aside. Dan Jingyi looked at Xia Yun calmly and said, You should think about the consequences. Xia Yun coldly looked at Dan Jingyi. There are no consequences here that we can't bear, Dan Jingyi said with incomparable confidence. Then he waved his hand again, telling the guards to capture Dan Zi. The surrounding spectators all knew what was going on. So the title of the year's New Medicine King belonged to Dan Zi. The Dan clan had interfered. However, the spectators didn't make a fuss. They just watched the show and didn't cause any trouble. Safety first. When Xia Yun wanted to say something, Yang Wu stopped him and said, If someone wants to die, then let them come. I want to see if the Dan clan can cover the sky with one hand. Everyone looked at the youth in front of them. They couldn't imagine where he got the confidence to challenge the Dan clan. Dan Zi pinched the corner of Yang Wu's clothes and said, Master, why don't we leave? She knew that Yang Wu was powerful, but she was afraid that things would blow up and bring unnecessary trouble. With your master here, there's no reason for you to be wronged, Yang Wu said domineeringly. Such big words. Wait until I capture you. Let's see if you'll still be so stubborn. A guard sneered and grabbed towards Yang Wu's neck. He wanted to show off his strength and attack Yang Wu's arrogance. You dare to touch my brother? You're courting death. At this time, a shout rang out. A figure rushed down and a foot descended from the sky, stomping towards the guard that grabbed Yang Wu. Pooh! That guard didn't even have time to scream before he was stomped into a pool of blood. The spectators instantly let out a scream. Seeing this bloody scene, they weren't afraid. Instead, they were even more excited. The one that descended from the sky was Barbarian Bull. He was the most impulsive and had the most fiery temper. Barbarian Elephant and Barbarian Tiger didn't appear. They still had to protect Ai Sha and Xue Xiaofan. Moreover, Yang Wu didn't need their help. Barbarian Bull only made a move to strengthen Yang Wu's momentum. Barbarian Bull didn't show any mercy. His bull eyes swept across the other guards. His figure flashed, and several guards were beaten to death. Barbarian Bull was too savage. All the alchemists present were shocked. They all chose to retreat to avoid being implicated. "Stop!" Dan Jingyi shouted. He condensed a fire palm and angrily slapped towards Barbarian Bull. Dan Jingyi was a dragon transformation realm cultivator. How could he let Barbarian Bull do as he pleased? Not waiting for his fire palm to touch Barbarian Bull, Xia Yunan quickly moved to block it. Dan Jingyi, I think you should give a fair decision on this matter. Xia Yunan, are you tired of living? Dan Jingyi was unable to restrain his anger. I'm just advising you not to be impulsive. You'll regret it if you do something. Xia Yunan replied. A peerless alchemist was worth staking everything on. Even if he had to sacrifice his family, he wouldn't hesitate. Then wait for the Xia family to be eliminated. Chapter 898. Dan Jingyi had enough confidence to say such words. He had the strength of a mid-level dragon transformation realm cultivator and was also a little sane alchemist. He had an extraordinary position in the Dan clan, and the people he could mobilize were not few in number. The ones that were killed by Barbarian Bull were just a few of the lowest level guards. At this time, the high-level guards in the alchemist field had already arrived. Among them was a dragon transformation realm guard commander named Shering Fong. He had the strength of a high-level dragon transformation realm cultivator and was one of the top 10 experts in the entire Bewilderment City. Who dares to cause trouble in my alchemist field? Are you tired of living? Shering Fong was a tall and strong man. His loud voice shook the entire field. Shering Fong did not come alone. There were dozens of people behind him. They were all elites guarding the alchemist field. Dan Jingyi, I'm warning you again. Withdraw your people and apologize to this young master. Otherwise, you will definitely regret it. Xia Yun emphasized again. Dan Jingyi did not pay attention to Xia Yunan and said to Shering Fong, Ing Fong, take them down for me. Shering Fong locked onto Yang Wu, Dan Zi, and Barbarian Bull. His domineering gaze made people shudder. He waved and said, take them down. Kill anyone who resists. Behind him, a peak heavenly fish realm cultivator swept out. His target was Barbarian Bull. Outside, an ordinary heavenly fish realm cultivator grabbed at Yang Wu and Dan Zi. Brother Yang Wu, do you want to fight or not? Barbarian Bull asked Yang Wu. Fight, why not? Yang Wu said calmly. Haha, then let's fight to our heart's content. Barbarian Bull laughed excitedly and charged towards the peak heavenly fish realm guard. Barbarian Bull fist. His body was like a moving bull as a powerful brute force exploded out from his thick arms. A mere bull demon dares to be so arrogant. You really don't know life from death. The peak heavenly fish realm guard said in disdain. He also waved his fist to meet Barbarian Bull. The person who was fighting Yang Wu and Danzi said proudly, surrender and you'll be spared from physical pain. Scram! Yang Wu shouted and kicked out, sending the guard in front of him flying. Puff! The guard was sent flying like a kite with a broken string. Blood spurted out of his mouth as he died on the spot. He has the strength of the dragon transformation realm. Don't be careless. Dan Yuan came back to his senses and exclaimed. Dan Jingyi cursed. Damn it. Why did you only tell me now? Shering Fong said to his men with sighs, kill them. This subordinate with a scythe on his back was a mid-tier dragon transformation realm cultivator. He took a step forward and a flood dragon floated behind him. That ferocious aura rushed towards Yang Wu to tear him apart. Unfortunately, after his flood dragon aura met Yang Wu's true dragon aura, it quickly shrank, as if it had met a king, and could not raise the slightest fighting spirit. The middle-grade dragon transformation realm guard Wu had a serious expression on his face. He took out his scythe and unleashed his most powerful combat strength. He raised his scythe and slashed down at Yongwu. The flood dragon roared again, ferocious and bloodthirsty. The scythe slashed out like a crescent moon. Yongwu had lost his patience. He said faintly, "Since you are so stubborn, then don't blame me for being ruthless." His figure flashed, and his entire body crashed into the middle-grade Dragon Transformation Realm Guard's chest. That middle-grade Dragon Transformation Realm Guard felt as if he had been hit by a mountain. His body bounced back like a shrimp, and his chest was dyed red with blood. His breathing was cut off. This kind of opponent was nothing in Yongwu's eyes. Shering Fong felt a chill run down his spine. He felt as if this youth had turned into an invincible true dragon in an instant. Even he had a feeling that he could not raise the will to fight. He gripped the hilt of his sword, but before he could pull out, Yongwu's palm had already pressed down on his arm. With a light shoulder throw, this guard commander was sent flying. Shering Fong crashed into a tall wall, causing a corner to crack. The wall cracked like a spider web, and it looked as if it would collapse at any moment. In that instant, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. This youth was too domineering. The other guard were scared silly. They knew very well how powerful their commander was. Who would have thought that he would be defeated by this youth in one move? He did not even have the strength to fight back. How were they supposed to fight? Dan Jingyi, Dan Yuan, and the others were completely scared silly. Monkey Hui clicked his tongue and said, "Oh my God, this youth can't be an old monster who regained his youth, right? He's so strong." King Beigro also shrank back and said, "This time we kicked a hornet's nest. However, the Dan clan will definitely not let this matter rest." There was a figure in the audience who was scared out of his wits. He scrambled to get out of the arena. "I want to leave Bewilderment City immediately. Get as far away as you can." This person was about to cry. He originally wanted to see how Dan Yuan would toy with Dan Zi, but now it looked like Dan Yuan was dead for sure. This person who was scared to the point of wetting himself was Tseng Xuaning. The pill refining field was completely silent. No one dared to breathe loudly. They quietly waited to see what would happen. That handsome youth was the center of attention, becoming the focal point of the entire venue. Even those arrogant young alchemists felt ashamed of their inferiority in front of this youth. "Speak, where did my disciples' 7 Earth King pills go?" Yongwu glared at Dan Yuan and shouted. This voice was like holy words. It went straight to the heart and shook Dan Yuan's soul. He could not help but say, "There with me." In the next moment, he handed over the Earth King pills that Dan Zi refined. Everyone in the audience saw this and was completely sure that Dan Yuan had manipulated them. They immediately exploded and cursed. That old bastard. How dare he do such a shameless thing? The reputation of the Dan clan has been completely ruined. I didn't believe that the Dan clan would do this just now. It looks like I took it for granted. Who would dare to participate in this kind of pill refining competition in the future? Although that little girl's surname is Dan, she might not be a member of the Dan clan. They forcefully took away the title of the rookie Pill King. This is too much. Just now I thought that this youth was too cruel to kill people because of a disagreement. Now I feel that killing is really satisfying. We should kill all these filthy people. Dan Jingyi's expression darkened. He wanted nothing more than to tear Dan Yuan apart. He took a deep breath and said to Yongwu, "That's enough." Yongwu did not reply to Dan Jingyi's words. After taking back the pills, he angrily slapped Dan Yuan, causing his front teeth to fly out. Yongwu said, "I let you go out of kindness a while ago. This time, can you give me a reason not to kill you?" Don't kill me. I'm a member of the Dan clan. Clan elder, save me." Dan Yuan covered his mouth and said in shock. He hid behind Dan Jingyi. He was really afraid that Yongwu would kill him. Yongwu smiled coldly and said, "You don't have to emphasize it again. I know you're from the Dan clan. This is still your Dan clan's territory, isn't it? Who are you?" Dan Jingyi finally looked Yongwu in the eye. Until now, he still couldn't figure out the background of this young man. He could guess that the other party's background wasn't small. Otherwise, Xia Yun and wouldn't have dared to fall out with him. "I'm Dan Zi's master," Yongwu replied. What do you want?" Dan Jingyi asked again. In the bewitching city, there were many people in their Dan clan. However, There was only one person who could match this youth. He did not know if that person was in the city. He did not have the confidence to fight to the death with the other party. He could only take a step back first. Kneel down and admit your wrongs to my disciple. As long as she forgives you, this matter will be over. Yang Wu said calmly. Dan Jingyi, Dan Yuan, and the others' expressions changed. If they kneeled down, where they put their old faces? The surrounding people all felt that this youth was too protective, but they could not say anything. If it was not for the fact that he had some strength, he would have been even more miserable by the Dan clan. That's impossible. This old man is a little saint alchemist. I can give you a few little saint pills as an apology. Dan Jingyi said in a deep voice. He paused for a moment and looked at Dan Zi. She is indeed a member of our Dan clan. If she is willing, I can let her acknowledge her ancestors. Wouldn't it be better for us to bury the hatchet? It had to be said that Dan Jingyi was smarter and more experienced than Dan Yuan. Not only did they want to resolve the grudges between the two sides, but they also wanted to give Dan Zi a chance to return to the Dan family. Although they were giving her a way out, they still wanted to take Dan Zi back to the Dan family. Once Yang Wu and the others compromised, the initiative would return to them. I'm not going back to your Dan clan. Dan Zi rejected without hesitation. Since it's like this, I'll give you 5 little saint pills and 50 heaven pills. You should know the value of each pill. This is my greatest sincerity. Dan Jingyi stated his conditions. After Xia Yun and heard Dan Jingyi's conditions, he almost laughed out loud, giving some low-grade pills to a little saint alchemist. He was really a genius to come up with such a rotten idea. I don't lack pills. You can apologize. Yang Wu rejected. Was he someone who lacked pills? Don't push your luck. My medicinal pills are hard to come by. 1 dragon transformation pill can help you reach a higher level. 1 wild dragon pill can help you increase your combat power by tens of times. If you don't want them, I'll just keep them, said Dan Jingyi with a frown. I'll say it again. I don't lack pills. Don't give me these inferior things. Yang Wu said, Great Master Dan, since he doesn't want them, why not give them to me? I'll help you take them down. A beast man in the audience said. This was a tiger man. He had the head of a tiger and the body of a human. His body was filled with dense tiger baleful chi. He stepped on the air, full of tiger might. He was one of the top 10 experts in Bewilderment City, Huge. He was a peak minor saint and was stronger than Shering Fong. Huge, you can't eat these medicinal pills. Why don't you add me in as well? Another hoarse voice rang out. Another figure flew out. It was an old Taoist with dense fire chi. In fact, he was a fire crow. He was also one of the top 10 experts in Bewilderment City, Fire Crow Taoist. Chapter 899. Hu Jiao was ranked 7th in the ranking of the experts of the other races. Fire Crow Taoist was ranked 4th. Both of them were peak minor demon saints. No one would have thought that 2 of them would appear here. All of this was within Dan Zhengyi's expectations. His elixirs were indeed hard to find even with 1,000 gold taels. He deliberately said this in order to attract those experts who usually asked him to refine elixirs to help him. This was the charm of a high-level alchemist. Other than the 2 of them, there were also 7 high-level guards of Dan clan. These 7 guards weren't as strong as Shi Ingfang, but they were proficient in the 7-star formation. If they worked together, they could fight against a peak minor saint. The scene became heated all of a sudden. It's not easy to get a minor saint pill. Hu Jiao and Fire Crow Taoist are here. Does that young man still have a chance to survive? Don't forget that young man killed Commander Shi with a single strike. I'm afraid his strength is not inferior to a peak minor saint. Look at his young appearance. He has such powerful combat strength. Could he be the Saint Child of Yin Yang cult or Sacred Flame cult? No matter who he is, he won't have a good ending after offending Dan clan. There are many saints in Dan clan. It's easy for them to kill a young man. No one was optimistic about Yang Wu even though his strength was strong enough. However, none of these people were easy to deal with. If they attacked together, they felt that Yang Wu would die without a doubt. Dan Jingyi outlined a trace of pride and said, I gave you a chance just now. You didn't cherish it. Just wait to be beaten to death by them. Hu Jiao, Fire Crow Taoist, and the 7 guards surrounded Yang Wu. That overbearing aura formed an aura field, enveloping Yang Wu and Danzi within it, not giving them the opportunity to escape. Once they used their power, Yang Wu and Danzi would be exterminated with a thunderous force. Kid, your life is precious. Quickly lower your head and admit your mistake. Hu Jiao advised with good intentions. In fact, he was already emitting a strong, killing intent. Fire Crow Taoist also said, admit your mistake. Maybe we can give you a chance to live if you admit defeat. None of them made the first move. They all knew that this young man's strength was unfathomable. Whoever made the first move would be at a disadvantage. Yang Wu shielded Danzi behind him and laughed. Do you really think you've got me? In an instant, a terrifying aura swept out from his body. A wisp of inexplicable saintly might descended, instantly bursting the aura that shrouded the area. The aura of the true dragon also pressed down on them. Their eyes were filled with extreme shock. Their hearts felt as if they had been hit hard. They were so frightened that they trembled and retreated. Just as Yang Wu was about to teach these people a lesson, Xia Yun and couldn't watch any longer. He opened his mouth and said, "You impudent bastards, why aren't you kneeling down and apologizing to our alliance's green copper seal Saint Pharmacist? Do you really think that you can do whatever you want just because you have some strength? Let me tell you, if you don't give me a satisfactory answer, I will ask the alliance to punish you." Xia Yun's words were deafening and shocked everyone present. A saint apothecary at the level of the Emerald Jade chapter? Did they really not hear wrong? This was absolutely impossible. If there really was such a saint pharmacist, it would be announced on the Alchemist Alliance's alchemist rankings and be worshipped by everyone in the world. How old was this youth in front of them? How could he be a green copper seal saint pharmacist? Green represented saint pharmacists. Copper represented saint pharmacists. They were at the second level of saint pharmacists and were stronger than iron saint pharmacists. A green copper seal saint pharmacist was a copper seal saint pharmacist. They were people that could stand on equal footing with any saint. They were people that normal saints would kneel down and lick their boots. In the entire transcendent world, they were the top bosses. Dan Jingyi actually wanted to deal with them. Where did he get his confidence from? He's a saint pharmacist. What kind of joke is this? I think there must be something wrong with my ears. He looks like he's only 17 or 18 years old. How could he be a saint pharmacist? Could it be that he's an old monster that regained his youth? There are countless capable people in the world. Perhaps he really is a saint pharmacist. If that's the case, I will definitely kneel down and beg him to take me as his disciple. The Dan clan also has several saint pharmacists. Even if he's a saint pharmacist, there's nothing amazing about it. What's so amazing about saint pharmacists? One idiot. Xia Yunan, what do you mean? If he's a copper seal saint pharmacist, why don't I know about it? Are you crazy? How dare you lie to us like this? Dan Jingyi took a deep breath and regained his composure. Any saint pharmacist on the saint pharmacist ranking was a famous existence. The number of unknown saint pharmacists could be counted with one's fingers. Dan Jingyi knew the saint pharmacist ranking like the back of his hand. He was certain that there was no such person as Yang Wu on the saint pharmacist ranking. Moreover, how old was Yang Wu? How could he be a saint pharmacist? Was a saint pharmacist a street performer? Could it be that anyone could become a saint pharmacist? Lord Yang Wu, please take out the green copper seal for him to see. Otherwise, he will not repent after offending you. Xia Yun respectfully said to Yang Wu. Xia Yun also didn't dare to believe that Yang Wu was a saint pharmacist at such a young age. However, he had seen it with his own eyes. How could it be fake? Yang Wu flipped his hand, and an exceptionally dazzling jade seal appeared in his palm. This jade seal was no small matter. It was a true saint jade. There were restrictions placed on it by the Alchemist Alliance's Heaven Ascension realm figures. Once Yang Wu dripped his essence blood into it, his information would be quickly recorded in the Alchemist Alliance's highest internal records. If he encountered any danger one day, he could activate the Jade Seal's power and obtain its protection. As long as the attack power didn't exceed the power of the Jade Seal's brand, it would ensure his safety. It could be used 3 times in total. This kind of Jade Seal definitely wouldn't exist in the Bewilderment City's branch altar. Fortunately, The drunken old man had an extraordinary position in the Alchemist Alliance. He also happened to be here, so he had a Saint Jade seal with him. After Yang Wu verified his identity, he immediately bestowed it to Yang Wu. The thunderclouds that had been attracted earlier were the pill tribulation that Yang Wu had attracted when refining a saint pill. How is this possible? When Dan Jingyi saw the jade seal in Yang Wu's hand, his eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Beside him, Hugu, Fire Crow Daoist, and the judges represented by King Beigro were all completely dumbfounded. The jade seal that exuded the aura of Bai and was like a dazzling sun, burning their eyes. It must be fake. Elder, this must be a fake Saint Jade seal. Dan Yuan couldn't help but exclaim in fear. If you think it's fake, then swallow it if you have the ability, Yang Wu said calmly. He was already clear about the Alchemist Alliance's transcendent position in the transcendent realm. The jade seal in his hand possessed supreme magic. It was a supreme sacred object that countless saint pharmacists pursued. Once one possessed it, they would have extraordinary rallying power. Moreover, they could intimidate many people and even factions. Dan Jingyi even had the heart to die. He had actually offended a saint pharmacist. If this matter were to spread to the clan, he would definitely be severely punished. He hated Dan Yuan to the core. He wished he could drink his blood and eat his flesh. However, the matter had already happened. It was time for him to make a choice. To fight to the death or to kneel and beg for forgiveness. It was all up to him. The spectators all held their breaths. If it wasn't for the fact that the matter was still being handled, they would have already prostrated themselves in worship. Forget it. Dan Jingyi's spirit withered. Just as he was about to kneel down, a voice rang out. What happened? Could it be that someone dares to cause trouble in my Dan clan's alchemy field? A figure appeared in midair. It was an extremely mighty middle-aged man. He wore a black martial attire and a cape. His appearance was extremely carefree. He stood on top of a bat demon and looked down on everyone. That gaze of disdain was extremely oppressive. When the bat landed, a gust of wind blew, causing everyone's clothes to flutter and their cheeks to hurt. This was a peak-level minor beast saint. Lord He Fu Sheng is here. Greetings, Lord Fu Sheng. The guards in the field all knelt down and exclaimed. He Fu Sheng, or Danny Fu, was originally called He Fu. He changed his surname after becoming a consecrator of the Dan clan. He wasn't a true saint, but a half-step saint. He was also the strongest person in Bewilderment City. He had an extremely high reputation in Bewilderment City. Before he became a consecrator of the Dan clan, he was a vicious and merciless person. If anyone dared to offend him, he would break their limbs or even take their life. After joining the Dan clan, he slowly restrained his temper because no one dared to offend him anymore. Dan Jingyi's spirit rose again. He stepped back and pointed at Yang Wu and shouted, Fu Sheng, you came at the right time. Kill him for me. He dares to impersonate a saint pharmacist of the Union. At this moment, he was staking everything on this one throw. If Yang Wu didn't die, then he would suffer. He had no other choice. As long as Yang Wu was killed, the Union would at most expel him. They wouldn't make a big fuss over a dead person. Moreover, the Dan clan also occupied an important position in the Union. It shouldn't be difficult to protect him. When Dan Jingyi shouted such words, the judges around him were frightened. They all stepped back. They didn't want to be involved in the conflict between the Dan clan and this young saint pharmacist. Truly a madman. King Bogero cursed inwardly. Truly ruthless. Monkey Hui exclaimed in his heart. Dan Jingyi, you're courting death. Xia Yunan cursed. Who would have thought that Dan Jingyi dared to risk universal condemnation to eliminate a saint pharmacist? This was definitely an extremely crazy thing. Those who offend my Dan clan will be killed without mercy. After Danny Fu's gaze locked onto Yang Wu, an extremely sharp expression appeared on his face. He shouted and waved a palm that covered the sky towards Yang Wu. That heaven-shaking and earth-shattering power was extremely frightening. When the palm fell, it could cover the sun and moon and shatter mountains and rivers. Everyone in the alchemy field was scared to the point of not knowing what to do. Each and every one of them was incomparably pale. If even a little bit of qi scraped their body, they would undoubtedly die. Yang Wu and Dan Zi, who were facing such an astonishing power, would definitely be smashed into dust. Yang Wu stared at the palm, and a trace of killing intent appeared in his eyes. He said faintly, "There are people who seek death every year. There are truly many today." Chapter 900. Yang Wu wasn't someone who would be easily bullied. Whoever dared to bully him, he would bully them back on the spot. He had already given the Dan clan a chance. As long as the Dan clan kneeled down and apologized, everything would be fine. He wouldn't have the reputation of bullying the weak. Who would have thought that not only did the Dan clan not appreciate his kindness, they even tried to use their power to oppress him. This was too much. When Danny Fu's palm was about to land on Yang Wu made his move. A fist arrived first. It was like the roar of a true dragon or the appearance of a black tortoise. That astonishing aura disappeared in the blink of an eye and broke Danny Fu's palm shadow with irresistible force. Asterisk bang. Asterisk the half-step sage's power exploded, shaking the entire alchemy field. The eardrums of the people in the surroundings ruptured, and they were sent flying away. Just when everyone thought that Yang Wu was going to explode from Danny Fu's attack, they discovered that Danny Fu and his mount were sent flying back to the sky. Without waiting for him to react, Yang Wu shot up like an arrow and a shocking voice resounded. "What bullshit, sage? What are you wagging your big tail in front of this Saint Master? This Saint Master will slap you to death." One after another, astonishing palm imprints surged out. Blue profound chi surged out like tidal waves, crashing onto Danny Fu and his mount. First, his mount was smashed into a cloud of black blood mist. That was a top-tier minor demon saint, but it was killed with a single slap. What kind of terrifying power was that? Danny Fu was even more miserable. He wasn't killed by a single slap, but in midair, he was swatted away like a fly. One slap sent him flying to the west, the other to the east. He was completely unable to control himself. Miserable shrieks rang out one after another. When everyone heard those shrieks, they were so frightened that their hair stood on end. Danny Fu was a half-step sage. His combat strength was the strongest in Bewilderment City. Even if he encountered a half-step sage of the same level, he wouldn't be defeated so miserably. Could this young man be a true sage? Dan Jingyi, Dan Yuan, and the others were scared silly. What kind of character did they provoke? This brat's battle prowess is also so exaggerated. It seems that this old man needs to further understand his background. Old man Zue's muddle-headed eyes turned sharp. He didn't expect Yang Wu to have such powerful combat strength. He had always felt that his eyes were extremely shrewd. When he first met Yang Wu, he discovered that Yang Wu had the strength of a dragon transformation realm cultivator. Moreover, it was not an ordinary dragon transformation realm cultivator. That was why he allowed Yang Wu to take the alchemist test. He really did not expect that Yang Wu would give him such a huge surprise. Under normal circumstances, an alchemist's combat power was not on par with a martial artist of the same rank. They spent more of their energy on refining pills. Where would they have the time to polish their martial strength? Yang Wu was able to refine a holy pellet with the dragon transformation realm, and he could even resist the pill tribulation. This was not something an ordinary person could do. Bang! After a loud explosion, a deep pit appeared in the alchemy field. Danny Fu had fallen into the pit. It was unknown whether he was dead or alive. After Yang Wu broke through to the dragon transformation realm, his combat strength had reached a terrifying level. However, it was not to the extent that he could slaughter a half-step saint like a dog. The reason why Danny Fu was so easily beaten up by Yang Wu was that he had underestimated his opponent. The second reason was that Yang Wu had used his true strength and did not give him the slightest chance. The third reason was that Danny Fu's realm had not reached the peak of the half-step saint realm. These factors added together were the reason why he was beaten up so quickly by Yang Wu. Xia Yun and the surrounding people stared at the scene before them with wide eyes. They really did not know how to express their inner feelings. Especially Hu Gu and Taoist Wicked Fire, who wanted to attack Yang Wu. Their bodies were trembling nonstop. Fear filled their bodies and minds. If they had really attacked Yang Wu, they would have been dead by now. Yang Wu was really too violent. Yang Wu reached out and grabbed, lifting Danny Fu up. Danny Fu's entire body was covered in blood, his appearance extremely wretched. Where was that arrogant appearance from before? Spare me. Danny Fu said with difficulty. Give me a reason? Yang Wu asked back. I am from the Dan clan. Danny Fu thought for a moment and mentioned the Dan clan. Just as he finished speaking, Yang Wu broke his neck. When Danny Fu stopped breathing, Dan Jingyi, Dan Yuan, and the rest were so scared that they pissed their pants. This was a half-step saint. If he was crushed to death, then what about them? Moreover, Danny Fu had already mentioned their Dan clan. The other party was still so vicious and merciless. He really did not put their Dan clan in his eyes. When Yang Wu's gaze landed on Dan Jingyi and Dan Yuan, they fell to the ground and begged for mercy. Don't kill me. I won't dare to do it again. This is my fault. I am willing to apologize. I won't dare to do it again. Dan Yuan cried. Dan Jingyi was a bit more courageous than Dan Yuan. I was wrong. The title of Rookie Medicine King of the Year should belong to Dan Z. I am also willing to apologize and compensate. Don't you think it's too late to do this now? Yang Wu's voice was like the king of Hell's judgment. He directly sentenced the two to death. Just as Yang Wu was about to kill them, the drunk old man's voice rang out. Brother Yang Wu, have mercy. When the drunk old man appeared, all the judges bowed and said in unison, Greetings, Elder Zhe. The drunk old man had an extraordinary status in the Alchemist Union. Anyone with a bit of status would know of his existence. Yang Wu didn't kill the two of them. He looked at the drunk old man and asked, Elder Zue, give me a reason. Kid, you're really cold. Could it be that an old man like me isn't worthy of you giving me face? The drunk old man laughed. Yang Wu replied honestly, I really don't deserve your face. After all, we're not familiar with each other. Kid, you really don't have a conscience. I just gave you the green jade seal, and now you're turning against me. Do you think I won't take it back? The drunk old man said coquettishly, That's the jade seal I obtained through the trial. If you want to take it back, then take it back. It's useless anyway. Yang Wu said indifferently. You win. The drunk old man really didn't know what to do with Yang Wu. He cut to the chase and said, You've already killed a half-saint to establish your might. The Dan clan isn't to be trifled with. Leave the rest to this old man. After all, they're from the Alchemist Union, and you're also from the Alchemist Union. This old man has an obligation to be a peacemaker and help you settle this matter. I don't want to make things difficult for Elder Zue. If the Dan clan has the ability, then come at me. There's nothing to be afraid of. Kid, if you continue like this, then we won't be able to continue this conversation. Then help me sell them. See how much they're worth, and have them compensate me double. I'm only giving you a discount because of your face. Otherwise, I wouldn't care about their compensation. It's fair. With this old man here, I can definitely dig out some good stuff for you. However, you have to agree to this old man's request. You have to become our Alchemist Union's holy elder. I'll agree if this matter is settled. Straightforward. With the drunk old man's intervention, this matter finally came to an end. Dan Jingyi and Dan Yuan were taken away by the drunk old man. He also announced that Dan Zi was the alchemy competition's newcomer pill king and received the reward she deserved. Xia Yun and took care of the other matters and appeased them one by one. Yang Wu's limelight was unparalleled, but no one dared to go up and curry favor with him. None of the judges present spoke up for Dan Zi. They all tacitly approved of Dan Yuan's actions and felt ashamed. Instead, it was Hu Ge who knelt in front of Yang Wu and begged Yang Wu to accept him as a servant. Yang Wu was a saint alchemist. Such an identity was enough to make many experts worship and follow him. Hu Ge was an expert of the Tiger tribe with the strength of a peak minor saint. It was unknown how long it would take for him to enter the half-saint realm. It was even more difficult for him to become a saint. If he pursued Yang Wu, as long as Yang Wu rewarded him with a saint pill, he might be able to break through. Of course, there was a price to pay for all of this. Be my disciple's guardian for 100 years, and I'll help you become a saint. Yang Wu looked at Hu Ge, who was kneeling on the ground, and said, 100 years was not a long time for powerful cultivators, especially when it came to entering the saint realm. Some people bitterly worked for 1,000 years and still might not be able to take that step. Hu Ge is willing to follow master and miss for 100 years. Hu Ge glanced at Dan Zi, who was behind Yang Wu, and immediately agreed without any hesitation. Many people on the scene were envious, especially the Fire Crow Taoist. He also wanted to kneel like Hu Gu and be able to follow a saint alchemist and obtain the opportunity to become a saint. Unfortunately, he did not have Hu Ji's courage. Get up. As long as you are loyal, perhaps you won't need 100 years. You won't regret this decision, Yang Wu said in a deep voice. Yes, master, Hu Gu said happily. He thought that Yang Wu would make things difficult for him or test him. Who knew that he would agree so easily? Perhaps this would really be his great opportunity. Lord Yang Wu, you follow me back to the branch altar, Xia Yunan said respectfully to Yang Wu. After Yang Wu's identity as a saint alchemist was verified, how would he dare to put on any airs in front of Yang Wu? Besides, Yang Wu was so savage. If he made Yang Wu unhappy, then it would not be easy to handle. If Yang Wu knew Xia Yunan's thoughts, he would definitely feel very wronged. How could such an easygoing person be a savage person? Then let's go back. Yang Wu did not care about Xia Yunan's attitude. With his identity, it was enough to be on equal footing with any saint realm and above characters. Many people revered him. This was an unchangeable reality. Lu Ji, Su Yin Shui, and the others rushed down from the spectator seats and joined up with Yang Wu. Lord, you're acting cool again. I saw several beautiful girls casting flirtatious glances at you. If your aura was not so strong, they would not have been able to resist pouncing on you. You see, they are still looking at you over there. Lu Ji arrived in front of Yang Wu and said with a somewhat sour expression. He even pointed in a direction, which attracted Yang Wu's attention. It would have been better if Yang Wu did not look. After he looked, he had an impulse to slap Lu Ji to death. What kind of beautiful girls were those? Those were a few middle-aged and elderly women who were unbelievably fat. He is looking at me. Could it be that he heard my confession of love? I am so nervous. Will he like me or not? Che, he is looking at me. I am much more beautiful than you. If he is willing to sleep with me for a night, I will be satisfied even if I die. He is too handsome. I feel that I must marry him. Chapter 901. The Apothecary Alliance was an alliance that spread throughout the transcendent world. They did not belong to any faction. They were an intermediate organization that united apothecaries. The Alliance Master was the most outstanding apothecary in the transcendent world. For the development of apothecaries, they formed such an alliance. The elusive Alliance Master did not belong to any faction. His will could affect the development of the Apothecary Alliance. At the same time, he could make many factions in the transcendent world afraid of him. No one dared to break the rules set by the Alliance Master. Even the Medicine Sect and the Dan clan were the same. Old Zue brought Dan Jingyi and Dan Yuan to the Dan clan's important place. This was a fiery world filled with volcanoes. The Dan clan had circled this place and created a territory called the Dan Fire World. The Dan Fire World was a fiery world formed by the craters of volcanoes. Underground, there was a flame of earth fire that had been continuously nurtured by the Dan clan. It had already become a sacred fire. Every crater of the volcano had a sacred fire crystal. It was a good place to nurture the next generation. The people who lived here would all have the ability to cultivate fire, Xianqi. This allowed the Dan clan to reap many benefits. However, recently, the Dan clan discovered that there was a big problem. The descendants of the Dan clan were born with fire poison. Not long after they were born, they all died early. This caused the Dan clan to panic. The Dan clan did not dare to spread this news. Only the higher-ups knew about this situation. They were thinking of a way to solve this problem. If they could not solve it, they would not have any descendants. In the Dan Fire world, there was a Dan Tower. It was the Dan clan's important place and also the symbol of the Dan clan. It was located in the center of the Dan Fire world. Flames would occasionally rise around it. It was as if it was in a sea of fire. The Dan Tower floated above it. It was very mysterious. On this day, 5 saint apothecaries gathered in the Dan Tower to discuss how to get rid of the fire poison. These 5 saint apothecaries were the most important people in the Dan clan. One of them was the Dan clan's leader, Dan Richen. He was a powerful leader who led the Dan clan to rapidly grow. After the fire poison appeared, the leader's hair was about to turn white from worry. Recently, A total of 177 children of our clan have died prematurely. Some were just born, and some had just reached adulthood. It was completely due to the excessive fire poison that caused their sudden deaths. Regarding this matter, everyone must think of a foolproof plan as soon as possible. Otherwise, our Dan clan will be consigned to eternal damnation, Dan Richin said in a deep voice. Clan leader, this matter has already been concluded. These children were unable to withstand our clan's pill flame inheritance. If they die, then so be it. An old man with an aquiline nose said faintly. That's not right. The alchemy fire has been passed down for many years, and I've never seen so many people die. Through testing, it's indeed caused by excessive fire poison. We can't ignore it, another slightly plump, middle-aged man replied. Those of us who have absorbed fire profound chi since we were young, more or less have some fire poison. This is nothing. The fire poison this time is no small matter. We must think of a way to deal with it to prevent future troubles. My race has 18 types of detoxification holy pills, but none of them can compare to the cleansing fire holy pill collected by the Alliance. However, those pills are only useful for saints. Those who are below saint plane cannot take them. They must be diluted. The medicine sex flowing essence poison extermination pill might work as well. The 5 saint pharmacists spoke one after another. They were unable to come up with a real solution. We are all pillars of the clan. We are all saint pharmacists, but we can't do anything about this fire poison. How sad. Dan Richin let out a long sigh. Then, a fierce expression appeared on his face as he said, I've decided to move the clan to another realm to reduce the absorption of the fire poison. Also, we will investigate all the clan members who have been deeply affected by the fire poison. We will create an antidote and try to solve everyone's problem. Clan leader is wise. The other 4 people exclaimed. After a while, one of them said, I know someone who might be able to solve our pill clan's urgent problem. Speak, Dan Richin said anxiously. Elder Zue's Saint Body Wine might be able to solve our clan's problem. Saint Body Wine is Elder Zue's secret recipe. It won't be easy for him to take it out. We don't need him to take out the recipe. As long as he is willing to make us Saint Body Wine, we will pay him. That might work, but with a strange temper, I don't know if he is willing. As the saying goes, there are no stories without coincidences. When Dan Richin and the others were talking about Elder Zue, he had delivered himself to their door. When Dan Richin heard that he had come, he couldn't help but exclaim, just as we were talking about Chow Chow, Chow Chow has arrived. Elder Zue was quite famous and had an extraordinary status in the Pharmacist Alliance. After he arrived at the Pill Clan, he was immediately arranged to be received at the Pill Clan's important place. Dan Richin brought a few saint pharmacists to meet him. Old Zue, what brings you here? Our Dan clan is honored to have you here. Dan Richin greeted Old Man Zue in high spirits. Don't, I am not worthy of your rich Pill Clan, Elder Zue replied. After a pause, he said, I'll return these 2 to you. Take out 50% of the compensation, and I'll let this matter go. Otherwise, you'll be in big trouble. They offended Elder Zue? Drag them out and beat them to death. Dan Richin only glanced at Dan Jingyi and Dan Yuan before he shouted with the ruthless aura of a superior. Of the 2, he only recognized Dan Jingyi. He was the little saint pharmacist of the Pill Clan and had a high status in the side branches. However, in the Pill Clan, he wasn't very important. No matter what reason they had, as long as they offended Elder Zue, he wouldn't plead for them. Clan leader, please let us go, Dan Yuan begged. Dan Jingyi lowered his head and said unwillingly, Dan Jingyi is willing to be punished. Drag them out, Dan Richin ordered again. Don't worry, don't worry. If you want to kill them, you have to do the math first. They have openly violated the Pharmacist Alliance's rules and even tried to murder our saint pharmacist. How are you going to pay for this? Elder Zue said, Speak, tell me everything you have done. If anyone dares to lie, I will kill their entire family. Dan Richin's eyes burned with anger when he heard Elder Zue's words. Openly violating the Pharmacist Alliance's rules had serious consequences. Murdering a saint pharmacist was even more unforgivable. Dan Jung-yi and Dan Yuan didn't dare to hide anything and told him everything that had happened. Dan Jung-yi was implicated by Dan Yuan, but Dan Yuan kept dragging Dan Jung-yi into the water. It was as if everything he did was ordered by Dan Jung-yi. Dan Jung-yi cursed, Dan Yuan, you heartless thing. If it wasn't for you, would I have supported you? You bastard. I regret that I didn't throw you out and let them vent their anger. Dan Yuan shamelessly said, If I didn't have clan elders' permission, I wouldn't have been able to do this. So you can't blame me completely. I asked clan elder to forgive me this once. I'm also thinking for the clan. That girl is indeed a member of our Dan clan and has even awakened the peach pink flame. If she can return, our clan will definitely have another saint alchemist. Peach pink flame, our clan's innate saint flame. The saint pharmacists of the pill clan all cried out. Someone really awakened the peach pink flame? Dan Richen asked again. Dan Jingyi and Dan Yuan confirmed it once again. Dan Richen and the other saint pharmacists were overjoyed. The peach pink flame could be used to completely expel the fire poison in their clan. It was the true cure. Elder Zue, we already know about this matter. Our pill clan is willing to pay 10 times the compensation, but I must see them in person. If they are really from our pill clan, I hope that they can return to the pill clan. You won't stop them. Dan Richen said decisively. Isn't it too arbitrary to conclude that they are from your pill clan just based on one innate saint flame? Elder Zue said, that's why it's more important to see them. Dan Richen said, what if you want to force them to stay? I'm here to be the mediator. Moreover, that kid is already a saint elder of our pharmacist alliance. His position in the alliance isn't lower than yours. If you dare to force it, I can only follow the alliance's rules. Elder Zue, you worry too much. With you here, we definitely won't act recklessly. All right, I'll believe you this time. Let's go together. The Pill Clan Saint Apothecaries didn't head to Confusion City together. Dan Richen accompanied Elder Zue and quickly rushed over. Dan Richen was the Pill Clan's patriarch. He alone represented everything in the Pill Clan. It was enough for him to meet Yang Wu and Dan Zi. They passed through the spatial gate and quickly rushed to Confusion City. They didn't stop and quickly headed to the Pharmacist Alliance's branch altar. Along the way, Dan Richen also understood the basic situation of that Yang Wu. He was a Copper Saint Apothecary at such a young age. That was a very amazing thing. Moreover, his future was incomparably bright. If they offended such a person and didn't eliminate him completely, there would be endless trouble in the future. When they arrived at the branch altar's courtyard, they discovered that Yang Wu's group had already left one step ahead of them. Dan Yunan, what's going on? Elder Zue loudly reprimanded Dan Yunan. Dan Yunan said fearfully, I don't know when they left. I clearly invited them back to the courtyard to rest. You're just a piece of trash. You can't even watch over a single person. Elder Zue said resentfully. It looks like they don't really believe in Elder Zue's character. Dan Richen said, they don't believe in your Pill Clan's character. It's not this rotten old man. Elder Zue said unhappily. He then said, that brat shouldn't have gone far. We should be able to catch up to him in time. As long as he's still in our Pill Clan's territory, he won't be able to leave. Dan Richen said confidently. He took out a holy sound stone and sent a message into the stone. He quickly sent out the message that he was looking for someone. The holy sound stone could transmit sound for thousands of miles. This was the Pill Clan's territory, and Dan Richen was the patriarch. He used as well as the master of this land to transmit the holy sound stone. The Pill Clan's saints in this land would all receive it. This was the power and influence of being the head of family. At this time, Yang Wu's group had already passed through the spatial gate and were constantly changing positions. They were preparing to leave this place as soon as possible and return to the Battle Clan realm. However, their speed was still not fast enough. They were finally discovered by the Pill Clan saints. The power of a large family is truly terrifying. Yang Wu couldn't help but sigh when he felt that he had been discovered. Chapter 902. Yang Wu wasn't a hothead. Over the years, he had experienced many things and understood the viciousness of people's hearts. He had killed the Dan clan's half-saint in front of so many people. How could the Dan clan let it go? Although old Zue looked like a good person, he didn't know if the Dan clan would give him face. Moreover, he had so many people with him. For their safety, he decided to take them away from Confusion City quickly while Xia Yun and wasn't paying attention. Who would have thought that the Dan clan would come so quickly? Even though they had passed through several spatial gates and were far away from Confusion City, they were still caught up. Brother Yang Wu, do you not trust this old man? There was a fluctuation of power in the space. 3 figures quietly flew out. One of them was old Zue. There were 2 people beside him. One was the Dan clan's patriarch, Dan Richin. The other was the Dan clan's saint, who was guarding this area. Yang Wu protected everyone behind him. He turned around and cupped his hands at old Zue. Old Zue, please excuse me. I still have urgent matters to attend to in the war god's world. Please forgive me for leaving without saying goodbye. Old Zue laughed and scolded, Little rascal, don't think I don't know what you're thinking. After a pause, he pointed at Dan Richin and said, This is the Dan clan's patriarch, Dan Richin. He's here to give you compensation. Dan Richin glanced at Yang Wu and the others. Finally, his gaze stopped on Dan Zi. He asked, You're my Dan clan's child, right? I'll make the decision. No matter what mistakes your ancestors made, you'll be allowed to return to the clan and receive the most abundant resources. What do you think? Dan Richin was indeed the patriarch of a clan. He made a prompt decision and offered extremely tempting conditions, hoping to move Dan Zi immediately. Dan Zi was instantly dumbfounded. 2 years ago, when she and her grandfather returned to the clan, many people rolled their eyes and ridiculed them. They couldn't get the forgiveness of the clan. But today, the patriarch opened the door to her. All of this happened too suddenly. If her grandfather knew about it, he would be very happy. Yang Wu didn't say anything, quietly waiting for Dan Zi's decision. He knew that Dan Zi was from the Dan clan, but he didn't know how she felt about the Dan clan. No matter what, he would respect her choice. Dan Zi took a deep breath and bowed to Dan Richun. Thank you, clan leader, for your kindness. If clan leader is willing to let me return to the clan, I will be extremely grateful. However, I cannot make the decision. I must ask my grandfather to make a decision. Your grandfather is Dan Long? Dan Richin asked. Yes. Dan Zi nodded in response. Then everything is easy. You didn't make any big mistakes at all. It's just that some people made things difficult for you and your grandson to be removed from the clan. I will restore your position in the clan in the name of the clan leader. Your grandfather will definitely not object. Dan Richin said with certainty. Then he added, You go back to the clan with me first. I will send someone to negotiate with the Yang family and summon your grandfather back. It's better than living under someone else's roof. What do you think? Dan Richin's aura as a clan leader was unquestionable. His words were without a doubt. No one could refute them. Old Zue said in a strange tone, Dan Richin, although this is your Dan clan's territory, you're not putting her master in her eyes. Dan Richin replied, Old Zue, she's my Dan clan's child. This is not wrong. This is my Dan clan's internal matter. It's best if others don't interfere. Yang Wu was ignored. Yang Wu did not feel that it was unfair. Just as the drunken old man had said, this was indeed the other party's territory. Naturally, the other party had the final say. However, it did not mean that he would let the other party control the situation. When he saw Dan Zi looking at him for help, he said, No matter what choice you make, Master will always be by your side. Dan Zi was very touched. She couldn't help but cry. She looked at Dan Richin again and said, Clan leader, it's not impossible for me to return to the Dan clan. As long as you let my master and the others go, I will agree. She wasn't a brainless woman. She knew very well that if she didn't agree with Dan Richin, she wouldn't be able to leave the Dan clan's territory. For the safety of her master and the others, she had to stay. Dan Richin smiled. Just as he was about to speak, Yang Wu said, Dan Zi, if I want to leave, no one can stop me. Moreover, with old Zue here, no one could do anything to us. You don't have to suffer. Young man, you are too confident. This is the Dan clan's territory. Dan Richin looked at Yang Wu with eyes as bright as the sun. His imposing aura was terrifying. Yangwu looked at Dan Richen indifferently and said, Clan leader of the Dan clan, let's talk about compensation. Whether Dan Z will return to the Dan clan or not, everything will be decided after she returns to the Yang clan. If she and Dan Long are willing to return, our Yang clan will definitely not stop them. Right now, no one can force her to stay. Young man, you don't have the qualifications to speak like this in front of this clan leader. Even if your Yang clan leader, Yang Jinghai, was here, he would have to show me some respect. Who do you think you are? Dan Richen said arrogantly. The pressure of a saint continued to envelop Yang Wu. Dan Richen wasn't an ordinary astral rune realm cultivator. He was a saint who had reached the 4th level of the astral rune realm. He was much stronger than Yang Wu. Dan Richen wanted to humiliate Yang Wu. Yang Wu might not be able to endure it. Old Zue stepped in front of Dan Richen and said, Dan Richen, do you want to make a move against your ally? You really don't put this old man in your eyes. Come, let this old man experience just how powerful a local snake like you is. Old Zue rolled up his sleeves, looking as if he was going to fight with Dan Richen. Dan Richen withdrew his aura and smiled. Old Zue, you must be joking. I just want to let this young man know the severity of the situation. The Dan clan's internal affairs are not to be interfered with. Then, he took out a yin and yang ring and said to Yang Wu, there are dozens of minor saint pills and hundreds of heavenly pills here. It should be enough to compensate for your losses. Moreover, you killed a half-saint of my clan. I won't pursue this matter. This is my biggest concession. Take your people and leave immediately. Yang Wu sneered. Do I look like someone who lacks low-grade pills? Then, he called out to the people beside him, let's go. There was no way to continue the discussion. Yang Wu didn't want to be entangled with the other party, so he turned and left. It's not a good thing for young people to be too impulsive. The saint beside Dan Richen said faintly. He was prepared to attack Yang Wu's group and forcefully stop them. Before he could do anything, old Zue grabbed the saint's shoulder and scolded, this has nothing to do with you. Get lost. In the next moment, the saint turned into a speck of starlight and was thrown far away by old Zue. Dan Richen smiled bitterly. Old Zue, are you really going to interfere in this matter? Cut the crap. If you don't compensate us quickly, I won't let you off, old Zue said domineeringly. This time, Dan Richen finally gave in. He let out a long sigh and said, little brother, come back. We will discuss this again. I promise to give you a satisfactory answer. Yang Wu gave Dan Richen face and stayed again. In fact, he might not be able to leave even if he wanted to. He was just testing old Zue's attitude. Fortunately, old Zue didn't disappoint him. He sighed softly in his heart. I thought I had the ability to protect myself after reaching the dragon transformation realm. It seems like I'm still far from it. He didn't like the feeling of not being able to control the situation. His desire to increase his combat strength was growing crazily. It hadn't been long since he reached the dragon transformation realm. This time, Dan Richen really showed his sincerity. Not only did he give the compensation, he also invited Yang Wu and his group to the Dan clan as guests. He treated Yang Wu and his group as guests and didn't force Dan Z to stay. He only hoped that Dan Z could help them. Regardless of whether the matter was successful or not, he definitely wouldn't make things difficult for them. He also made an oath in front of old Zue without any intention of lying. Yang Wu didn't immediately agree. He needed to talk to Dan Z before he could make a decision. Dan Richen and old Zue left. Yang Wu opened up a field of aura, isolating himself from everyone's senses. No saint could spy on him. He's only at the dragon transformation realm. How can he have the aura of a saint? Who is this kid? Dan Richen muttered to himself in front of old Zue. His physical body has become a saint. Have your eyes been blocked by sh*t? Old Zue said unhappily. No wonder, no wonder. He's so outstanding at such a young age. When did such a powerful junior appear in the Yang clan? And he's even an alchemist. Could it be that you opened the back door? Clan fart. Am I that kind of person? I say, you're the leader of the Dan clan. What's the point of making things difficult for these young people? Let me tell you, I have high hopes for this young man. He has the chance to become a divine alchemist in the future. If you dare to mess around, I can guarantee that your Dan clan will regret it. All right, I know what to do. Dan Z, tell me honestly, what are you thinking? Yang Wu asked Dan Z. Dan Z sorted out her thoughts and said, Master, I have the blood of the Dan clan flowing in my body. This is something that can't be changed. However, I don't have deep feelings for them. It doesn't matter to me whether I return to the Dan clan or not. It's just that grandfather might have other thoughts. And I understand. In the end, it all depends on your grandfather's attitude. Your grandfather isn't here, so I'll make the decision. What do you think? Of course, I'm willing to listen to Master. However, I don't want anything to happen to you. Otherwise, I won't be able to live with myself. Don't worry. Right now, he's the one who needs our help. We have to talk about the conditions. Perhaps we can get the best of both worlds. It would be great if that's the case. I'll tell you my thoughts first. Remember it so that you won't mess up your position during the negotiation later. Chapter 903. The Dan clan was one of the top 3 powers in the Dark Shadow Realm. Even though they weren't one of the top powers, no one doubted that they had the backing of a top power. No one dared to challenge their authority. They occupied a large territory and had many subordinate powers. Most of them were related to alchemy, and the subordinate powers were there to obtain more alchemy resources. There were also some business alliances. The Dan clan's influence was very large. The Northern Medicine Clan and the Southern Pill Clan lived up to their name. Yang Wu's group followed Dan Richin to the Dan clan as guests. This was a decision that Yang Wu had made after much consideration. Even though this was a very risky move, he felt that it was worth a gamble. At the very least, Old Man Zue gave him a feeling that he had some morals. If the Alchemist Alliance couldn't make the Dan clan restrain themselves, then the alliance would be a joke. Yang Wu agreed to come to the Dan clan because Dan Richin swore that he wouldn't harm them. Secondly, they were still in the Dan clan's territory. If the other party wanted to use force, they might not be able to handle it. If they chose to compromise, they might be able to get a good result. Taking a step back, if the Dan clan dared to harm them, then he would definitely make them pay the price. The divine weapon in his bones gave him this kind of confidence. Dan Richin didn't have any intentions of harming Yang Wu's group. He only wanted to use his sincerity to convince Dan Z to return to the Dan clan. As long as she returned, he would do his best to train her to become the most outstanding alchemist. Perhaps the Dan clan would have another saint alchemist or even a divine alchemist. Yang Wu's group entered the Dan clan's territory and immediately felt waves of fire Xianqi fill the area. The temperature of the volcano wasn't something that an ordinary person could withstand. Barbarian Bull couldn't help but complain, "What is this place? This old bull's fur is about to fall off from the heat. Brother Bull, just bear with it." The Dan clan focuses on alchemy and cultivates fire Xianqi. It's normal for them to like fire Xianqi. Yang Wu said from aside, "Brother, this old bull's mouth is cheap. Don't take it to heart." Barbarian Elephant said from aside. Barbarian Bull replied, Right. If we can't even withstand this heat, how can we cultivate properly in the future? In the future, let's find a suitable place for us to cultivate." Man Who said, "Don't worry about that. There are plenty of good cultivation places in the transcendent world. There will definitely be a suitable place for you to cultivate." Yang Wu replied. At this moment, Lu Ji clicked his tongue in wonder and said, "I sense that this place is filled with formation patterns, as if we're in a world of formations. As long as we activate the formations here, none of us will be able to escape." Dan Richin glanced at Lu Ji and said, "How can that force not have 1 or 2 great formations to protect it?" Lu Ji climbed up the pole and asked Dan Richin, "Patriarch Dan, no matter what, we are your guests. Do you have any array formation scrolls that you don't need that you can give to us?" Lu Ji was also very powerful. He was facing the patriarch of a clan and was also a saint in the star pattern realm. Yet, he still dared to speak like this. His guts were not ordinary. What kind of person was Dan Richin? He had long seen that Lu Ji was not ordinary. Not only did he reach the peak of the heavenly fish realm at such a young age, but Lu Ji also had a unique aura. It was as if there were yin and yang energies intertwining. It might be the legendary yin-yang battle body. My clan has a lot of array diagrams and scrolls. I will have someone send some over to little brother later. Dan Richen said politely. He did not mind forming a good relationship with such a promising young man. Perhaps he would be able to obtain unexpected benefits in the future. Really? Then I have to thank Patriarch Dan. You really are a good person. I will definitely have my lord listen to your instructions. Lu Ji said excitedly. Just as he finished speaking, Yang Wu fiercely knocked him on the head. He gritted his teeth and said, Traitor! My lord, how can you be so rough? I was just joking. My loyalty to my lord can be seen by the sun and moon. Lu Ji resisted. This fellow's skin was really thick. Yang Wu and his group came to the Dan clan's guest hall. Dan Richen first arranged good wine and dishes to entertain Yang Wu and his group. He did not mention anything about Dan Zi returning to the clan. When arranging their accommodations, Dan Richen's intentions were revealed. The clansman related to Dan Zi's lineage appeared in front of her. Even if Yang Wu knew Dan Richen's intentions, he could not stop him. Dan Richen was moving with emotion and reasoning. He was using a common scheme. He did not do anything bad. Could it be that he would not allow him to do so? Dan Zi was also caught off guard. She didn't know these people. They were all her uncles, and there were even some granduncles. Her grandfather had brought her to see them before. They were all dutiful people, and their status in the clan wasn't high. They were still very sad and pained about Danlong leaving the clan. Danlong's influence in their bloodline wasn't small, and they had once placed high hopes on him. Yang Wu, Lu Ji, Su Yin Shui, and the others all returned to their rooms. They gave Dan Zi time to deal with this. She was not young anymore. She could have her own thoughts. After returning to his room, Yang Wu began to meditate and cultivate. He was cultivating the Soul Control Heart Sutra. He was also meditating and cultivating various combat skills. At the same time, the Supreme Nine Mysteries formula was still crazily absorbing the fire Xianqi here. When the fire Xianqi entered his body, it was automatically filtered by his dantian. It condensed into pure energy and fell into his dantian. At this moment, he suddenly felt a trace of strange energy mixed in the Xianqi. He looked inside and found that the rejected energy was black. It was like a tiny black worm. It was seeping into his bones and internal organs. Fortunately, it was isolated and purified by the thunder power of the heavenly thunderbone. The energy here is strange. Could it be that the Dan clan did something? Yang Wu wondered in his heart. Yang Wu did not say anything. The little bit of energy just now was not fatal. It was also impossible for it to pose any threat to experts like them who were full of vitality. It should not be the Dan clan's doing, but it could not be ruled out. Yang Wu continued to absorb the Xianqi of heaven and earth here. A large amount of fire Xianqi seeped out from the ground. The black energy was contained in the fire Xianqi. If he did not have his Dantian's power to purify it, he would only feel that it was a modeled energy that would not cause any harm to his body. At this moment, Lan Yao Ji, who was in his heart, was connected to Yang Wu's mind. It said, Master, this is the fire poison energy. What is fire poison? Is it something with too much firepower? Yang Wu asked. That's not what it means. It's that the fire seed has been infused with poison and has become another type of poisonous fire. Any living creature that absorbs too much will die from the poison. I'm afraid that everyone here has been poisoned. Lan Yao Ji said, a fire seed with poison. Is that what it means? Yang Wu asked. That's what it means. However, this kind of poison will not directly harm living creatures. Instead, after accumulating enough, it will gradually explode. It is especially obvious to weak living creatures. The stronger the living creatures, the better they will not die immediately. However, the fire poison will hide and affect their lifespan and cultivation. Lan Yao Ji replied. Yang Wu immediately understood. The Dan clan had a huge hidden danger. Is there a way to solve it? Yang Wu asked. Find the source of the poison and destroy it. Lan Yao Ji replied. Then, it said, this poison can corrode the fire seed. Its level is probably not low. Even I can't do anything to it. Such a terrifying poison source. Yang Wu exclaimed. After that, Yang Wu refined more of the poison source's power and sealed it. Perhaps this was the reason why Dan Richen was so anxious to find Dan Zi. The fire seed here was the sacred fire peach pink flame. Only Danzi, who was of the same origin as it, could go deep underground and resonate with the fire seed. That was the innate flame left behind by the Dan clan's ancestors. This was something that Dan Richin had mentioned before. However, Yangwu did not know that it was so serious. It had already affected the foundation of the Dan clan. Perhaps the Dan clan had not realized the seriousness of the matter. After a night, Danzi knocked on Yangwu's door. Yangwu let her in. Seeing that she was not in good spirits, he knew that she did not sleep well last night. "Master, they asked me to stay. What do you think I should do?" Danzi asked with a troubled expression. Looking at her worried expression, she seemed very pitiful. "Go straight to your heart," Yangwu said in a low voice. His words were holy, clearing her heart. After Danzi quivered, her mind became clear. She couldn't help but reply, "I want to return to the clan. Grandfather will be happy, but I don't want to be bound by the clan. As long as you are strong, your clan will only value you and respect you. How can they restrict you?" Yangwu replied. "Then, does Master want me to stay?" Danzi asked again. "You already want to stay, don't you?" Yangwu asked. Danzi lowered her head in embarrassment and replied, I'm sorry, Master. Your choice is not wrong. There is nothing to be sorry about. However, they chose to give up on you. If you return like this, it might not be a good thing." Yangwu said. "Then what should I do?" Danzi also had the same concerns. She was very worried. "Let's see what conditions your clan leader will give. If you return to the Dan clan, it will save me some trouble." Yangwu smiled and said. He had already thought of a plan that would satisfy both sides. He was in a good mood. Danzi misunderstood Yangwu. She thought to herself, could it be that Master really hates me and doesn't want me to stay by his side? Before seeing the Dan son, Yangwu first found Old Man Zue. This guy had swindled a lot of old wine from the Dan clan and was drinking himself into a drunken stupor. "Yangwu, come quickly. The Dan clan's 9 Immortals wine is really good. Once it goes down my throat, it's as if I've ascended to the immortal world. It feels really good." Old Man Zue called out to Yangwu. "Old Man Zue, the Dan clan situation isn't good, right?" Yangwu asked. Old Man Zue raised his eyebrows and replied, "You noticed the situation so quickly. It seems the Dan clan situation is more serious than I thought. Such a big clan still hasn't found a solution. It seems this matter is not easy to deal with." Chapter 904. Yangwu and Old Man Zue met Dan Richin once again. This time, there were only the 3 of them, so they could have a frank chat. This time, Yangwu took the initiative to speak. "Lord Patriarch Dan, you are so eager for Danzi to return. Other than her innate fire seed, is there something dangerous for her to do? What kind of dangerous things can she do? Moreover, with her little ability, is there a need for me to scheme against her? You think too much." Dan Richin replied with a faint smile. "Then what's going on?" Yangwu flicked his finger and a jade bottle flew towards Dan Richin. Dan Richin reached out and grabbed the jade bottle. He raised his old eyes and said softly, "Fire poison. How did you get it?" "It's everywhere here. How else can I get it?" Yangwu asked back. Dan Richin was stunned for a moment and said, "You found out about this so quickly. How did you do it?" Their territory had fire poison. It was only after the accident of the younger generation that they found out that it was because of the fire chi. He found it hard to believe that Yangwu had only been here for a day and found it out. "When I was cultivating, I found out that something was wrong. I thought you were going to harm us." Yangwu replied, "Little brother Yangwu, you're not lying to me, right? Do I need to lie to you? This is my first time in your Dan clan. Since you found out, then I'll tell you the truth. Danzi has awakened the innate fire seed of our clan's ancestor. There's an earth fire flame under our territory that was formed by our ancestors' peach pink flame. I hope she can enter the earth fire flame and get rid of this hidden danger." After a pause, he added, "You don't have to worry about her safety. We will do our best to protect her and nurture her. She is an outstanding member of our clan. We will not mistreat our own people. It's not a problem to let her stay, but I don't want you to restrict her actions. She has already acknowledged me as her master, and I am a member of the Yang clan. She can also be considered a relative of the Yang clan, so I can't let her be wronged. Moreover, I also want to discuss the Tao of Alchemy with you and Elder Zue. Is that possible? Yang Wu said straightforwardly. Discussing alchemy? Dan Richin raised his eyebrows and said. From the looks of it, he seemed to be looking down on Yang Wu. Although he knew that Yang Wu was a copper alchemist, he did not believe it until he saw it with his own eyes. Old man Zue, on the other hand, was dancing with joy as he said, all right, let's discuss alchemy together. I also want to see what kind of ability you have, Brad. You're so young, but you're almost catching up to us old men. Is Lord Dan looking down on me? A blue flame jumped out of Yang Wu's fingertip as he said calmly. Blue Demonis was a sacred flame, and it also had spirituality and intelligence. Dan Richin and Old Man Zue were both saint alchemists, so they could clearly sense the fire seed. Their faces were extremely moved as they could feel the fire seed in their bodies being suppressed. They also had sacred flames. All right, let's discuss alchemy first. Dan Richin put away the contempt he had for Yang Wu and agreed straightforwardly. Thus, Dan Richin began to have people set up an altar. He planned to open up the Tao of alchemy in the Dan clan. Firstly, he wanted to let Yang Wu see the foundation of the Dan clan. Secondly, he hoped that this discussion could raise the alchemy level of the entire clan. From his point of view, discussing alchemy with Elder Zue was a very good thing. As for Yang Wu, he was just an extra. If Yang Wu knew what Dan Richin was thinking, he would definitely compete with him. 3 saint alchemists discussing alchemy. After the people of the Dan clan heard the news, they were completely in an uproar. Everyone quickly rushed to the altar as they didn't want to miss this event. The higher-ups of the Dan clan knew the significance of this event and hurriedly called for an emergency meeting to control the situation. First, they chose the most promising people to sit near the altar. Then, they chose the most talented young people to sit in order. The other alchemists were arranged to sit in the periphery. Dan Z was also arranged to sit among the outstanding young people. The people of the Dan clan didn't know her and were very curious about her appearance. However, they didn't ask too much. They suspected that she might be the successor of a certain big shot in the clan. After the altar was set up, a holy voice sounded, clan leader, Saint Alchemist Elder Zue of the Apothecary Alliance, and Saint Alchemist Yang Wu of the Yang clan, please come to the altar to discuss alchemy. The 3 silhouettes leaped into the air and flew towards the altar. The 3 of them sat separately. Their calm aura was exceptionally shocking. The people below felt as if there were giants standing in front of them, making them feel extremely small. Greetings to the clan leader and the 2 lords, the people of the Dan clan said in unison. They couldn't look directly at the 3 people above. Their aura was too shocking, like the sun. They couldn't see their faces clearly. Let the discussion begin, Dan Richin said loudly. He began to throw a brick to attract Jade. With a holy voice, he said, every herb has its own spirit, and each has its own use. Extract its essence, combine its ingredients. Dan Richin went from shallow to deep. He began to talk about alchemy. Every word was like a morning bell, waking people up. No one wanted to miss a single word. They all listened attentively. At first, they could understand, but the more they listened, the more confused they became. There were many herbs that they had never heard of before. They didn't even know that there were other miraculous uses. Old Man Zue and Yang Wu each answered. They each spoke their own opinions. Old Man Zue was indeed an old monster who had lived for a long time. He was also a saint alchemist who had been famous for a long time. His knowledge of herbs wasn't something that ordinary people could compare to. This was especially true when it came to the herbs used to brew wine. They were like treasures. Yang Wu's knowledge and understanding were indeed not as good as the 2 of them. He couldn't help but sigh. They're both experienced people. Fortunately, he had a huge amount of knowledge about herbs passed to him by Little Hay. There were many subtle uses of herbs that he could grasp at his fingertips. It didn't take him much effort. Only then did Dan Richin see Yang Wu in a new light. An alchemist who didn't have a detailed understanding of herbs wasn't a good alchemist. Yang Wu was undoubtedly a good alchemist. As for how good he was, he still had to explore further. Understanding medicinal herbs was only the basic knowledge of an alchemist. However, the 3 saint alchemists had dabbled in too many types of medicinal herbs. Listening to them speak of it was as if they were in a boundless medicinal garden. Every medicinal herb appeared vividly in front of their eyes, broadening their horizons. Only then did they understand that the little bit of knowledge in their hearts was merely a drop in the ocean. They knew far too little. The people of the Dan clan were intoxicated. Only the words of the saint alchemists reverberated in this world. After talking about herbs, they began to talk about how to concoct medicinal liquid. Before the human race learned how to concoct pills, they first used herbs to concoct medicinal liquid. They used it to heal injuries, improve one's physique, and so on. Concocting medicinal liquid required the extraction of each herb. It wasn't something that could be concocted by throwing in random herbs. Dan Richin, Old Man Zue, and Yang Wu separately talked about how they concocted the same medicinal liquid. Each of them had their own reasons. However, the one who spoke the best was still Old Man Zue. In order to concoct the best medicinal wine, he had once concocted countless herbs. In the end, he had concocted a kind of saint body wine. This was his proudest work. It belonged to a kind of unparalleled saint body wine. It could help a person achieve a saint body. Yang Wu's performance in this aspect was quite normal. In fact, the medicinal liquid formula he had was also shocking. It was just that he didn't want to take it out and scare them. Even so, this was enough for Dan Richin and Old Man Zue to attach importance to him. This young man's knowledge wasn't undeserved. After talking about concocting medicinal liquid, the sun had already set. However, the three of them had just begun to talk about refining pills. Alchemy was mysterious and ethereal. If one didn't understand medicinal theory, they couldn't concoct pills. If one didn't understand the fire, they couldn't concoct pills. If one didn't know the pill formula, they couldn't concoct pills. There were many factors involved. The three of them quickly discussed alchemy. First, they went from shallow to deep. Then, they talked about all kinds of changes and tricks. They used their own methods to show that they could concoct the most perfect pill. At this point, no one held back. They didn't want to lose to anyone. They talked about all their trump cards. It was like three saint pharmacists were concocting pills at the same time. The scene was astonishing. The surrounding saint pharmacists couldn't help but secretly talk to each other. The appearance of an alchemy phenomenon. The patriarch and Old Man Zue are both involved in alchemy, so it's not surprising that they would attract such a phenomenon. However, what kind of background does that young man have? He can also attract such a phenomenon. It's really astonishing. When did the Yang family have such an outstanding alchemist? Could it really be the Yang family from the War Clan realm? No matter where he comes from, it means that he has already stepped into the ranks of saint pharmacists. He can't be underestimated. He must be the master of that child who awakened the peach-pink flame. He really does have some ability. The three saint pharmacists discussed alchemy. The listeners all gained astonishing benefits. Those little saint pharmacists were like the moon in the sky. They had more confidence in becoming saint pharmacists. Those young alchemists with outstanding talent also gained a lot. They had knowledge they didn't understand, but they could remember it. There would be a day when it would help them reach a higher level. As for the other alchemists, no matter how good their comprehension was, after this alchemy discussion, they would all improve. If a person loses a limb, I can concoct the bone-forming pill. With 1 stalk of bone-forming grass, 2 stalks of St. Vane's vine, and 3 stalks of living blood grass. I can refine it. Your bone-forming pill is not perfect enough. You have to add a stalk of command crown grass. Subtracting a stalk of green cotyledon would be better. I feel that subtracting a stalk of green cotyledon would suffice. The three of them talked back and forth, as if they were quarreling. Each of them was criticizing the other, arguing about who could concoct the best pill. Dan Richin's Saint Pharmacist pill recipe had a small loophole. Old Man Zue's refining method was too crude. However, Yang Wu's explanation was like a stroke of genius. It could often make up for their shortcomings. The Saint Pharmacist pill recipe and refining method he proposed were difficult for them to criticize. They even fell into a state of contemplation. Chapter 905. Yang Wu still hadn't figured out Little Hei's origins. He suspected that Little Hei was an old demon that had lived for tens of thousands of years. Otherwise, how could it know such brilliant alchemy techniques? Yang Wu had obtained Little Hei's inheritance, and after several years of digesting it, it had finally been transformed into his knowledge. He could casually speak of many alchemy techniques that others had never dared to think of, and there were also some strange pill recipes, which were even more eye-opening. As Yang Wu continued to talk about some of the alchemy techniques that little Hay had passed to him, he completely took the initiative. Dan Richen and old Zue began to ask questions. They kept raising doubts, and finally came to the conclusion that Yang Wu's technique was more perfect and the pill recipes were more complete. This was a complete alchemy technique. The Saint Alchemists of the Dan clan listened with great interest. Their knowledge was already extraordinary, and they had obtained the alchemy techniques of the Dan clan's inheritance. But when Yang Wu talked about alchemy techniques, they still felt like their horizons had been broadened. Everyone was refining the same pills, so why was there such a big gap? This was the thought that came to their minds together. Thus, this spectacular alchemy discussion came to an end with Yang Wu's brilliant alchemy techniques. It wasn't that this alchemy discussion had become a stage for Yang Wu to show off, but in the final debate, it was still true that he had come out on top. Yang Wu also had a great harvest. Dan Richen and old Zue were both Saint alchemists who had been famous for a long time. They had many alchemy techniques that could make up for many of his shortcomings, and had many benefits for improving his alchemy. The people of the Dan clan were intoxicated listening, and it was difficult for them to wake up for a long time. After Yang Wu, Dan Richen, and old Zue disappeared for half a day, they gradually woke up. Someone exclaimed softly, "I understand, so I've been taking a detour all this time. My alchemy is wrong. Wait for me to correct it. I can definitely become a heavenly alchemist." So the path of a saint alchemist is like this. In addition to various techniques, only by using one's heart to sense the attributes of herbs can one extract their greatest value. There is no end to learning. I'm really just a frog at the bottom of a well. I still have a lot of knowledge to learn about herbs. I'll go into seclusion now and try to become a saint alchemist. This time, I'll definitely succeed. Thank you, Patriarch and the two saint alchemists. Dan Richen and old Zue returned to the guest hall. He cupped his hands together and said, "Yang Wu, hey, the new generation excels the old Zue. If Brother Yang's strength is improved, I'm afraid that you will quickly surpass us old men. I'm sorry. After all, Zue of het, Sva of alalas." To old Zues. Old man Zue exclaimed, "Where did you get your inheritance from? It's so complete. I've never heard of or seen anything like it." Yang Wu smiled and said, "If I say that this is an inheritance from the heavenly palace, would the two of you believe me? That's impossible." The two of them said in unison. Yang Wu didn't expect their reaction to be so big. He didn't explain further. Originally, the name of Heavenly Palace was just an excuse. If they didn't believe him, then so be it. He muttered in his heart, "My cheap master tricked me again. He said that the Heavenly Palace is invincible, but no one agrees with him." Back then, the Heavenly Palace was invincible. There were indeed 3 terrifying divine alchemists. However, their inheritance had long been broken. They definitely wouldn't be left behind. "Brother Yang Wu, you're not being honest." Dan Richen stared at Yang Wu and said seriously. Yang Wu smiled and said, "If you don't believe me, then forget it." He paused for a moment and said, "No matter where my inheritance came from, are the two of you satisfied today?" "More than satisfied. I can't wait to discuss alchemy with you for another 10 days and 10 nights, the old man said. He then said, "Brat, from now on, you'll be the Alchemist Alliance's holy elder. You can't refuse this. After this is over, follow me back to the main altar. We'll hold the conferring ceremony and announce it to the world." The old man couldn't let Yang Wu leave the Alchemist Alliance. He had to pull this kind of person into the alliance. "I have to go back to my family first," Yang Wu replied. "I'll go with you." The old man stuck close to Yang Wu, afraid that he would leave again. Yang Wu nodded and didn't reject the old man's invitation. Joining the Alchemist Alliance and gaining another identity was a good thing. It was the same for both the Heavenly Palace and the Yang family. Next, it's time to talk about our matters. Yang Wu looked at Dan Richen and said seriously, "Don't worry. Just based on the matter of alchemy, you don't owe my Pill clan anything. The people you killed were unlucky. We can bury the hatchet. Isn't that a good thing? Dan Richin didn't hesitate and let go of the grudge in his heart. That's good. As for Dan Z, I won't interfere too much. However, you have to give her enough time to think about it. You can't force her. I will also ask Dan Long to come back. When the time comes, I hope you can give them proof of their return. Otherwise, it wouldn't be good, Yang Wu said seriously. Dan Richin didn't have any objections. This was a good thing for the Pill clan. They could welcome back a future Saint Alchemist. This little bit of etiquette was nothing. I don't want your compensation. Dan Z is my disciple. As her master, I can't be stingy when she returns to the Pill clan. However, I have a condition. I hope that the Pill clan can become allies with the Yang family and announce this news to the public. What do you think, clan leader Dan? Yang Wu finally brought out his true goal. The Pill clan had a great influence. If the Yang family became allies with them, it would undoubtedly give the Yang family a boost of confidence. It would bring hope to the Yang family and intimidate the Xing family. It was killing two birds with one stone. Dan Richin wouldn't agree to Yang Wu so rashly. He pondered for a moment and said, "Your Yang family situation isn't good. The Xing family wants to get rid of your Yang family. It's a miracle that your Yang family hasn't been destroyed. Our Pill clan has never participated in the entanglements between the major forces. I'm afraid this matter won't be easy to handle." I know what clan leader Dan is worried about. Becoming allies with the Yang family doesn't seem to be a good thing for the Pill clan. Moreover, the Yang family is the one who benefits from it. However, if I give you 3 Saint Pill recipes as the price, will the Pill clan be moved? Yang Wu said, "We don't lack Saint Pill recipes." Dan Richin smiled. "My Saint Pill recipes are 5 Revolution Saint Pill, Extreme Star Pill, and Broken Light Pill. They are definitely Saint Pill recipes that you won't have." Yang Wu emphasized. He explained the 3 Saint Pills, which made Dan Richin and Old Zue's eyes light up. The 5 Revolution Saint Pill was many times more powerful than the 3 Revolution Little Mystery Pill. It could help a severely injured saint recover quickly. Moreover, it could also restore the saint's power to its peak in a short period of time. It was a saint pill that could save one's life. Think about it. When 2 saints fought to the end, whoever had a 5 Revolution Saint Pill would be the final victor. It could be said that it was the ultimate victory pill. There was a big difference between the Extreme Star Pill and the Star Mark Pill. The Star Mark Pill could increase the Star Mark realm by 1 level, while the Extreme Star Pill could help a saint increase the power of the Star Mark realm by 2 to 3 levels. However, the side effects were very obvious. Once the Extreme Star Pill was consumed, it would take at least half a year for the saint to recover the power of the Star Mark realm. The Broken Light Pill was a pill that could increase one's speed. After swallowing a Broken Light Pill, one would have the speed of light. It was more abnormal than any other speed-increasing pill. The 3 pill recipes that Yang Wu took out were indeed very rare. Even if there were similar Saint Pill recipes, they couldn't be compared to these 3 pills. Dan Richin didn't suspect that Yang Wu was faking it. The alchemy discussion just now had proven everything. He was tempted. Without waiting for him to agree, Old Zue said eagerly, "Kid, you have become a saint elder of our alchemist union. Your Yang clan can also become an ally of the union. As long as you offer these 3 pill recipes and obtain the union's approval, the union will give your Yang clan enough benefits." Yang Wu asked, Can it be like this?" Without waiting for Old Zue to answer, Dan Richin said, "Don't listen to his nonsense. The Union will never interfere in the battle between powers. We will only give your clan priority to buy herbs and pills. Our Dan clan can form an alliance with you as long as you take out 2 more Saint Pill recipes of the same level." Yang Wu shook his head and said, "No, just 3. If you don't want to, I can't do anything." Dan Richin, you're too greedy. These 3 Saint Pill recipes are very precious. Kid, don't worry about the Dan clan. If you offer them to the Union, you will be treated well by the Union. It will be easy for your Yang clan to rise again in the next 100 years. Elder Zue, you can't cut us off like this. I'm just offering Brother Yang Wu a bargaining chip. He's sincerely willing to give these 3 pill recipes to our Dan clan and swear that he won't spread them out. we can consider his proposal. After Yang Wu threw out the 3 pill recipes, Dan Richin finally compromised. The Dan clan could announce that they were allies with the Yang clan. Dan Richin agreed, so quickly not only because of the pill recipes, but also because of Dan Zi and Yang Wu. Dan Zi was Yang Wu's disciple, and Yang Wu was a young saint alchemist with unlimited potential. The Dan clan wouldn't lose out if they formed an alliance with the Yang clan. Moreover, even if the 2 clans announced an alliance, they might not really go through thick and thin together. Old Zue was also helpless. The Union of Alchemists was an alliance. It wouldn't participate in any internal strife. Yang Wu was a saint alchemist. As long as he became the Union's saint elder, he would be treated well by the Union. Old Zue's offer wasn't attractive at all, unless he took out something of the same level to trade with Yang Wu. Yang Wu paid the price of 3 pill formulas and felt that it was worth it, as if a huge stone had been lifted off his heart. Next, it was time for them to deal with the fire poison. Dan Richin took Dan Zi to the bottom of the alchemy fire realm. Yang Wu wasn't willing to let her take the risk alone. He insisted on going down with her and even dragged old Zue along. Who would have thought that this trip wouldn't be peaceful? Chapter 906. The alchemy fire realm was surrounded by a total of 81 mountain fires. Each volcano was at least a dozen miles away from each other. Some were even 100 miles away from each other. Some of them were still full of fire essence, while others were in a state of silence. However, no one knew if they would erupt at any time. This place was different from the fire region of the Xing family. Other than the primordial fire near the Pill Pagoda, the other places were all very hot. There was no fire, so anyone could walk in this place as long as they could withstand the high temperature. In this alchemy fire realm, one could see people from the Dan clan cultivating and refining pills from time to time. Many of them didn't care about their appearance and were cultivating in front of their pill cauldrons. They looked quite scary. In the Dan clan, only those who were outstanding in alchemy would have the opportunity to stand out. No one wanted to fall behind others. They crazily cultivated alchemy in the alchemy fire realm. During this process, they didn't know that the Dan clan had fallen into a state of madness. It was common for them to go crazy. Yang Wu didn't have time to pay attention to this. Dan Rilchin sent people to deliver the array diagram to Lu Ji and some body-tempering pills to Su Shuayan. Ai Sha, Xue Xiaofan, and the others weren't treated badly either. He brought Dan Zi to the important place of the Dan clan. Many years ago, when the ancestor of the Dan clan fell, he set up a dojo underground and sealed his innate fire inside, creating this alchemy fire realm. It was this innate fire that helped the Dan clan prosper. Now, there might be a problem with the fire source. This is a big matter. If it isn't resolved, the alchemy fire realm will be destroyed. It will be a great loss for the Dan clan. I want to use Dan Zi's peach-pink flame to resonate with the fire source of our ancestor. I hope it can completely control the fire poison and no longer affect the descendants of our clan. Dan Rilchin brought Yang Wu, Dan Zi, and old Zue to the alchemy fire realm. This was the first time he spoke frankly about his purpose. How do you know Dan Zi has such an ability? What if she can't do it? Yang Wu asked. Even if we can't do it, we still have a way to protect her. At that time, we can only think of another way. The worst way is to move the entire clan here, or completely seal this place and destroy this place. Dan Ryland said solemnly. Usually, fire poison is caused by excessive fire. Your Dan clan's fire poison is truly a poison source. A poison source that can touch a fire source. This girl, we have already thought of a countermeasure. When the time comes, we hope that Elder Zue can also put in some effort. We will definitely give you a satisfactory reward. Dan Richin said sincerely. 81 volcanoes erupted with raging firepower at the same time. These firepower coiled around the formation and burned, forming a huge pit of fire. In the pit of fire, a tunnel of firepower was formed, leading deep into the ground. Several Saint Alchemists and Saint Realm Elders appeared at the same time. They casually led Dan Rilchin, Yang Wu, and the others into the fire pit. The high temperature and the surging fire made it look like a sea of fire hell. It was definitely not a place that ordinary people dared to enter. Yang Wu protected Dan Zi as they entered this place. Bursts of powerful firepower unceasingly surged over, accompanied by a large amount of fire poison. Others might not be able to sense it, but everyone present except Dan Z could sense it. The fire poison is so strong. What happened? A saint of the Dan clan murmured. I'm afraid there's a problem with the seal. We must find out what's going on. Another person said. They quickly arrived at the bottom of the ground. There was a terrifying lava river here. The lava was surging like a tide. Waves of heat assaulted their nostrils. This was a pink wave of fire. It looked very demonic. There was a pink peach tree in this lava river. It didn't grow very tall, but the tree trunk was dense. It covered a wide area and occupied a large area. It had fiery leaves that were incomparably beautiful. If one didn't look carefully, they would think that it was a real peach tree. But if one looked carefully, they would find that it wasn't a real tree. It was a fire tree formed by flames. It was the peach-pink flame left behind by the Dan clan's ancestor. Yangwu had seen many strange scenes, but it was the first time he saw such a situation. It was really an eye-opener. The people of the Dan clan bowed slightly to the peach tree. Their attitude was incomparably respectful. It represented the will of the Dan clan's ancestor. The peach-pink flame in Dan Z's body kept jumping. It had an impulse to break out of her body. She looked at the peach tree in front of her with a strange expression. She felt a sense of resonance. Whoosh! Suddenly, a fire branch swept towards Dan Z. Its speed was astonishing. Yang Wu, who was beside Dan Z, felt his hair stand on end. He shouted, "Get out of my way!" Blue Yao Ji in his heart rushed out and quickly blocked the fire branch. She also released the talent of Xing Hua and began to devour the fire branch's firepower. Brother Yang Wu, don't be impulsive. Dan Richin comforted him and said to the fire peach tree, Master Fire Spirit, don't be impulsive. We are here to help you deal with the fire poison. Help me deal with the fire poison? Are you guys out of your minds? The fire peach tree shouted. After pausing for a moment, it said, let that child come over. I want to raise her well. Master Fire Spirit, listen to me. My clan is being attacked by the fire poison. This has never happened before. Think about it carefully. Did you mix in some other energy that caused the fire to change? Dan Richin comforted. If you want to absorb my source energy, just say it. Why are you looking for such a grand reason? Leave the child behind and immediately get out of here. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. The fire peach tree had a cold expression. At this moment, old man Zue faintly said, look at the color of the lava. Everyone looked at the lava. They broke through the layers of fire on the surface and saw wisps of black poisonous mist. This poisonous mist was like maggots that were sucking at the fire peach tree's roots. It looked abnormally terrifying. What a terrifying fire poison, everyone exclaimed. The peach pink flame was a top-grade Saint Fire Seed. This fire poison could suck its energy. It was definitely a terrifying fire poison. Even if they were to touch it, they wouldn't be able to escape. Hee, since you've discovered it, then all of you can stay here. I wanted to wait for over 1,000 years, but it seems like I don't need to. The fire peach tree coldly laughed. All the fire branches began to spread and cover the sky. They carried an incomparably terrifying firepower as they shot towards everyone. This was the power of a top-grade Saint Fire. It definitely wasn't any weaker than a top-grade Saint's attack. Yang Wu felt a sense of suffocation. He protected Dan Z as he retreated. He wanted to leave this place. Otherwise, he would really be killed by the fire peach tree. Blue Demoness had sent him a message. This fire peach tree's level was too high. Even it might not be able to deal with it. Fire Spirit, have you betrayed my clan? An aged voice rang out, and a huge palm came crashing down on the flaming peach tree, blocking all of its attacks. This was a top-grade saint. His saint aura was vast and mighty. Ordinary saints couldn't compare to him. Who knew that this saint's attack would still be broken through? A wisp of flame swept towards Danzi. This wisp of flame came too quickly. Even Yang Wu couldn't block it. The flame directly entered Danzi's body. A terrifying aura was released from her body. Yang Wu was sent flying while vomiting blood. Oh no, the fire spirit has entered her body. The top-grade saint of the Dan clan exclaimed. His power imprisoned Danzi, not giving her a chance to escape. The other saints of the Dan clan also took action. They sealed this world to prevent the fire spirit from escaping. The overwhelming saint aura sealed off every inch of space in an instant. Huh, how can you be my match here? You've trapped me for so many years. Go to hell. Dan Z, who was invaded by the fire spirit, laughed wildly. Her hands were constantly forming seals, and the firepower in the surroundings surged. The flaming peach tree burned crazily, and the tyrannical firepower swept through this space. She wanted to burn the people here alive. Lord Fire Spirit, you're crazy. Dan Richin roared with a solemn expression. He set up a defensive force to block the firepower and shouted, "Activate the formation and seal her." "Oh no, the seal formation here has lost its effect," the saint replied anxiously. "Damn it, the fire spirit has been planning this for a long time. We must suppress her forcefully," the top-grade saint shouted. Many saint powers kept fluctuating. Some were blocking the incoming fire, while others were dealing with Danzi. They had to take her down. The firepower here was too powerful. It had been accumulating for countless years, and it also contained an extremely terrifying fire poison. The two ordinary saints could not defend against it and were drowned by the firepower. They could only hear their miserable screams. It was most likely that they were dead. In such a chaotic situation, Yang Wu was not having a good time. He really did not expect such a thing to happen when he entered this space. He was not prepared. Fortunately, he had Lan Yaoji to protect him. Only then could he resist the fire attack. Otherwise, he would have turned into ashes. Despicable Dan clan. If anything happens to Dan Z, I'll definitely make you all accompany her in death. Yang Wu shouted in his heart. Dan Z was his disciple. He definitely did not want anything to happen to her. The current situation was extremely critical. Everyone had a problem protecting themselves. It was easier said than done to save Dan Z. Yang Wu felt extremely desperate. In this damned environment, he did not have any advantage at all. Fortunately, Yang Wu did not completely lose his mind. With Lan Yaoji protecting him, he was not burned to death immediately. His mind kept spinning as he thought of a solution. At this moment, a voice sounded, "Master, I can help you solve this big problem." It was the voice of the sacred mandala flower. Ever since this fellow was taken in by Yang Wu, it had been obediently staying with Yang Wu. It did not deliberately show its powerful side. Really? Chapter 907. The sacred mandala flower was an extremely evil plant. It was able to survive in an environment filled with death chi, which was enough to show how different it was. It suddenly spoke, which surprised Yang Wu. That flame's intelligence has been corroded by the fire poison. If we can remove the fire poison, that guy will recover, the sacred mandala flower answered. It paused for a moment, then added, "I can consume the fire poison, but you have to help me block the fire. Otherwise, I won't be able to take it." "That's not a problem. What do you think we should do?" Yang Wu asked excitedly. If he could remove the fire poison from the fire peach tree, and it could wake up, perhaps Dan Z would be fine. "Go into the fire poison area. I want to eat it," the sacred mandala flower said excitedly. Not only could it swallow living things, but it could also swallow poison. That was what made it so terrifying. Yang Wu didn't hesitate to jump into the lava river. The raging fire here was very scary. With Blue Enchantress protecting him, Yang Wu still felt a lot of pressure. But at this time, he had no other choice. The saints of the Dan clan used all kinds of methods to subdue Dan Z, but it wasn't that easy. This was the territory of the fire peach tree. It was formed by the pink flame and could merge with the pink flame on Dan Z's body. It instantly controlled Dan Z's body and used the years of accumulation here to deal with the saints present. In this sea of fire, many branches formed and kept wrapping around the saints present. The terrifying fire could restrain the fire of the saints of the Dan clan. Their saint power couldn't be used to its fullest here. Drunken Old Man was one of the more relaxed ones. Unfortunately, he had no way of suppressing Dan Z. The fire here was too strong, and his holy fire could only protect himself, unless he went all out to devour and refine the peach pink flame here. But that wasn't very realistic. It wasn't easy to refine a top saint fire. The Dan clan is useless. You don't even know that there's such a big problem with the fire seed of your clan. If anything happens to Yang Wu, You won't have it easy either. Old Man Zue roared and rushed toward Yang Wu. He had the holy fire to protect him and released his powerful holy chi to block the attack of Danzi. The pink flames here were very strong. Old Drunkard used his intuition to find Yang Wu. When he got close to Yang Wu, he found that Yang Wu had jumped into the lava. It was too late for him to catch him. He shouted, "Kid, don't take things too hard." Before Old Drunkard could save him, the peach-pink flames kept colliding with him. The pink smoke blocked his vision. If he breathed in the smoke, it would cause great damage to his soul. This was the peach-pink flames' confusion property. Old Man Zue had no choice but to focus on dealing with the peach-pink flame. The people of the Dan clan were constantly using their holy power to suppress Danzi, but Danzi was the ruler of this area. She could control 10,000 flames, and the flaming peach tree turned into thousands of divine weapons that crazily attacked the saints of the Dan clan. They were in a very sorry state. They were all saints who cultivated fire xianqi. When they couldn't borrow fire xianqi from all directions for their own use, they couldn't display their fighting strength at all. Moreover, their attacks couldn't hurt Danzi at all. The flaming peach tree behind her protected her tightly. "You've trapped me for so many years. Go to hell, all of you," Danzi said with a ferocious look. She kept making seals with her hands. Each wave of attacks was fiercer than the last. The power of the lava river was mobilized by her. There was also a lot of fire poison that shrouded the world and kept attacking the saints of the Dan clan. Bang! Bang! The waves of fire came one after another. It was really unbearable. Dan Richin was in great pain. He didn't expect the saint fire to be so terrifying. He always thought that since the other party was sealed here, she was loyal enough to the Dan clan and wouldn't cause any trouble. Now, it seemed that he was too naive. The saints of the Dan clan joined forces and rushed into the sky. They didn't dare to stay here any longer. At the very least, they had to leave this space and find another way to deal with it. "Patriarch, let's go. We'll suppress her when we get outside." "Yes, as long as she doesn't leave here, she won't be able to escape from our hands. We have to wait for the ancestor to come and subdue her." The saints of the Dan clan ran as fast as they could. They didn't dare to stay at all. Their attacks were ineffective against Danzi. Even the attacks of the top saints were ineffective. If they didn't leave now, they would definitely be reduced to ashes. Dan Richin gritted his teeth and rushed into the sky with the others. He didn't dare to stay any longer. "You bastards!" Old Man Zue scolded and quickly slipped away. He had a good impression of Yang Wu, but it was only good. It wasn't to the point where he would die for Yang Wu. Danzi smiled proudly. "Finally, I can leave this damn place." She turned around and rushed toward the lava river. She was prepared to absorb the remaining power of the origin and completely reach a complete state before leaving this place. At this moment, she felt that something was wrong. Someone was touching her foundation. "Who is so bold to peep at my origin?" Danzi shouted angrily. She gathered her power and slammed it toward the bottom of the lava river. Her power was so great that the entire lava river began to tremble incessantly. Majestic power pressed toward Yang Wu's position. This terrifying power could definitely incinerate many saints into ashes. Fortunately, the Dan clan activated the sealing array at this moment and quickly compressed this space. As a result, the power of Danzi was greatly restricted and rapidly reduced. "Do you think you can seal me like this? That's impossible, haha." After Danzi laughed wildly, she crazily absorbed the power here. The aura on her body rose steadily. She slammed her palm toward the sealing power one after another. Boom! Boom! The space seemed to be about to explode. The world was shaking endlessly. Yang Wu, who was under the lava, was dizzy from the shaking. He had almost lost the ability to think. Danzi's power was just too terrifying. He could already feel that the power under the lava was continuously weakening and gathering towards Danzi. There was also a large amount of fire poison that was beginning to enter her body. If he didn't stop it in time, Danzi would break out of the seal sooner or later and become a brand new self, no longer the original Danzi. Mandala, Lan Yao attack at full speed. Yang Wu completely let go of his control over the two abominations. The mandala was afraid of the power of lightning, but it wasn't afraid of the power of fire. After all, with Lan Yao protecting it, it could safely devour the fire poison here. Devour. The sacred mandala flower was worthy of being one of the 10 great ancient evil plants. It turned into a huge flower and began to devour the fire poison at the bottom of the lava river. It liked the blood of living creatures and all kinds of poisons. These were all nourishment for its advancement. A large amount of fire poison madly gathered toward the sacred mandala flower. The terrifying fire poison was like a river of black fire. Once touched, even if one wasn't poisoned to death, they would be burned to death by this terrifying power. Lan Yao displayed its power at this time. It devoured all the fire poison. The two worked together to completely devour the fire poison. Danzi was busy dealing with the power of the seal. She sensed that her power was being drained and instantly became furious. She controlled the terrifying power of the lava to attack Yang Wu. Even a high-level saint couldn't withstand this power. How could Yang Wu block it? Yang Wu didn't dare to hold back any power. He held the devil-taming token in one hand and used the divine weapon electric fork in the other. The heavenly thunder bones all over his body trembled. A powerful electric field was released. He shouted, "You want to kill me? It's not that easy." The divine weapon electric fork absorbed all of Yang Wu's power and formed a terrifying electric field, blocking Danzi's power. Lan Yao didn't dare to be negligent. It forced out all of its potential and devoured the fire here to share the pressure for Yang Wu. Wave after wave of shocking explosions rang out incessantly. Yang Wu was shaken to the point of dizziness. Blood seeped out of his 7 orifices. His appearance was truly frightening. However, he still stubbornly defended his corner and was not completely obliterated. The divine weapon electric fork was indeed very powerful. The electric field formed with it as the center was very strong and blocked Danzi's attack. When Danzi wanted to attack again, she realized that her power was being drained. She was shocked and quickly gave up on attacking Yang Wu. She absorbed her power at full speed and cursed, "You despicable human, I will make you die a horrible death." As her curses fell, the power of the seal increased once more. The space around her was constantly being compressed. Danzi did not want to be suppressed again. She once again resisted the power of the seal. She had waited for so many years for the sake of breaking free. How could she fail at the verge of success at this time? Countless waves of fire kept surging up. The terrifying fire broke through the power of the seal. A huge amount of fire surged to the ground, creating a sea of fire. The saints of the Pill clan were in a terrible mood. Their ancestor was in seclusion somewhere and didn't come out. Without the protection of the heaven-reaching realm, they were afraid that they wouldn't be able to suppress this top-level saint fire. "Quick, ask the Pill Tower to suppress it," Dan Richin shouted. "Ask the Pill Tower." The voices of the other saints sounded. Their power gathered towards the Pill Tower. The Pill Tower was activated and released endless light. An inexplicable power was born and suppressed the ground. Old Zue shouted angrily, "Dan Richin, you're crazy. You will kill Yang Wu and Danzi." "Old Zue, you have seen the situation. If the Saint Fire escapes, our Pill clan will be finished. We must completely suppress it," Dan Richin replied. "Bastard, are you doing this on purpose? Yang Wu is not your Pill clan. You are trying to kill him." "Old Zue, we didn't expect it to be so serious. It's our fault. We are sorry." Chapter 908. The Pill Pagoda had completely suppressed the movement underground. No more flames came out. However, this didn't mean that the hidden danger here was completely eliminated. Unless the pink peach flame was completely eliminated, this place would be filled with fire poison. No one could absorb it for cultivation. It was very easy to be poisoned and die an unnatural death. After the Dan clan went through this dangerous turmoil, many people in the Dan clan died. They were all killed by the fire poison outbreak. Danzi was suppressed and didn't want the Dan clan to have an easy time. She triggered the fire poison and caused many people to die. It had to be said that the pink peach flame with evil intelligence was very terrifying. Not only was the space it was in controlled, but those who absorbed it would also be affected. The Dan clan refined a large number of poison cleansing pills, hoping to get rid of the fire poison. Unfortunately, the effect was minimal. The Dan clan was shrouded in a haze. Underground, the situation was even more dangerous. Yang used the demon taming order and the divine weapon electric fork to defend. If this continued, he would be suffocated to death by the power of Danzi. Yang Wu defended his last line of defense. He urged the sacred mandala flower and blue demoness to absorb faster. He couldn't hold on any longer. The sacred mandala flower was worthy of being an ancient evil flower. As it swallowed the fire poison, it became even more beautiful. It had already reached the semi-sage realm. However, the power of the fire poison here had accumulated to a terrifying extent. Therefore, it had obtained the opportunity to break through to the sage realm by swallowing the fire poison here. So, it wouldn't let go of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. After it signed a master-servant contract with Yang Wu, it was very difficult for it to increase its strength by itself. With the help of external forces, it became much easier. After it crazily swallowed a lot of fire poison, it finally broke through. A huge flower bloomed. At the center of the flower was a peerless beauty. She had patterns on her body, which looked extremely enchanting. Her body was even more exquisite. Her perfect curves were almost exposed. No matter which man saw it, their blood would boil. Fortunately, some of the patterns covered the key parts. Otherwise, she would be naked. The power of a pattern bloomed between her eyebrows, and her power was rising steadily. The fire poison kept surging, and the flower petals kept expanding, occupying a large area. It looked like it was about to become a world of its own. How could Danzi allow the sacred mandala flower to break through in front of her? She steeled her heart and shot a large amount of firepower towards the sacred mandala flower. She wanted to destroy it. Stop her! Yang Wu ordered Lan Yaoji without hesitation. It was also a holy flame, and a natural immortal flame at that. Although its realm was not as high as the peach-pink flame, it was not afraid at all. It turned into a black tortoise and fiercely charged towards Danzi, his power. It also released the Punisher Flame's characteristics and swallowed the flames to strengthen itself. Bang! After the two powerful sacred flames collided, the entire area was enveloped in flames. Space trembled, and Yang Wu was flung away. Blood spurted from his mouth. He tightly held onto the devil-taming token and the divine weapon electric fork. With them protecting him, he was not engulfed by the flames. Otherwise, he would have been burned to ashes. Yang Wu and Lan Yaoji's wills were connected. He could feel that Lan Yaoji was unable to hold on. If there was no external support, it would definitely be devoured by Danzi. Danzi laughed wildly. Source of holy flame, after devouring you, do you think I can't break through all the seals here? Danzi increased her power. She had to devour Lan Yaoji in the shortest amount of time. The peach-pink flame wrapped around the blue flame layer by layer. The blue flame was at a complete disadvantage. Don't be afraid. You're the immortal flame that even Little Hay praises. Let me help you. Yang Wu roared. He was going all out. He mobilized all of his bloodline power and gathered it towards his heart. The heart flame was awakened in the heart. The heart was the center of the bloodline. As long as there was an endless supply of blood, Lan Yaoji could continue to exist and grow stronger. Lan Yaoji became a holy flame because it had devoured many fire sparks. Without the fire sparks, it would not be easy to become stronger with just Yang Wu's strength. However, without Yang Wu's bloodline, it would not exist. The two of them were complementary. After Yang Wu poured a large amount of blood into its heart, Lan Yaoji finally became very different. Its firepower was much stronger than before. It could stop Danzi from devouring it. However, the gap between the two was not just a little bit. If Yang Wu wanted to persist and resist, he had to pay a sufficient price. His body gradually shriveled up and his life force rapidly weakened. However, he did not look like he was going to give up. He continued to persevere. Not only was the divine court Dao flowers not damaged, it became even more tenacious. This was the limit of suppression. It was the power of his battle soul. If he didn't die this time, his battle soul would become even more terrifying. The sacred mandala flower still hasn't broken through. Yang Wu urgently shouted, "Master, don't worry, I'm fine." A delicate voice rang out, and the huge sacred mandala flower began to shrink. Instead, More and more fire poison gathered toward her. Suddenly, the patterns on the sacred mandala flower became even more complex, and a few more petals sprouted. The figure in the flower's core became even taller. Her hands constantly formed seals as she unleashed a heaven-defying ability, the Mandala Devour. This was her strongest devouring power. It erupted in an instant, producing an incomparably terrifying devouring power. In an instant, all of the fire poison in this space flew towards her. All of her petals opened once again. When all of the fire poison surged over, she closed them again, and all of the fire poison was cleansed in one go. Danzi, who was fighting against Lan Yaoji, lost her evil aura. Her eyes were no longer ferocious. Instead, there was a hint of confusion. The fire on her was weakening. Lan Yaoji finally had a chance to breathe. It began to devour the peach fire to replenish itself. What's going on? Danzi murmured. A strand of fire rushed out of Danzi's body and turned into a peach tree. Danzi fell to the ground listlessly. The fire poison has been cleaned out. Its intelligence should be back, the mandala's sacred flower said. Its body quickly shrank and disappeared into Yang Wu's body. Lan Yaoji no longer felt the threat of the peach-pink flames. It quickly returned to Yang Wu's heart and stopped draining Yang Wu's vital energy to prevent Yang Wu from dying from exhaustion. Yang Wu had lost too much this time. He didn't have time to care about this. Instead, he looked at the peach tree and said, "Do you remember everything that just happened?" The peach tree was the peach-pink flame left behind by the ancestor of the Pill clan. It replied, "I've come back to my senses. I didn't think I'd do something so absurd. I'm truly sorry." The sacred fire life form was no less intelligent than any other life form. After it left Danzi's body, it quickly realized everything that had just happened. Yang Wu let out a sigh of relief and said, "Then how do we deal with this?" At least he wasn't burned to death. This was already a blessing in disguise. The space has been sealed for now. You should recover here first. We'll talk later, said the peach tree. Yang Wu didn't have any objections. He used Lan Yaoji to protect him and placed the demon-taming token and the electric fork beside him. He didn't dare to relax at all. He began to refine the blood-replenishing pills in the universal space to replenish his lost vital energy. Yang Wu refined 2 blood-replenishing pills and still felt weak. Even the immortal Qi couldn't make up for this feeling of weakness. The loss of vital energy had shaken his foundation. Luckily, his foundation was solid enough. Otherwise, the loss of vital energy this time would be enough to destroy his foundation. It wouldn't be as simple as just replenishing his vital energy. Yang Wu's vital energy was much better than before. He quickly rushed over to Danzi. She didn't die, but she was unconscious. He quickly fed her a soul-stabilizing pill and a chi-replenishing pill. He didn't want anything to happen to her. Don't worry, she's fine. Her fire seed is compatible with mine. When she wakes up, she'll be able to reap some benefits, said the peach tree. I hope it's as you say, Yang Wu replied and then asked, You caused this, so how are you going to deal with it? This place has been sealed again. They probably won't believe me anymore. It looks like I've implicated you guys, the peach tree said with a trace of sadness. The reason why it was infected by the fire poison was because it wanted to leave this place and return to the earth to see the light of day again. Whether or not we can leave this place is another matter. Aren't you going to give us some compensation? I was almost killed by you. Yang Wu said, You really are an interesting human. I'm just a ball of fire spirit. What compensation can I give you? Do you want your fire spirit to devour me? The peach tree faintly smiled and replied, I don't dare to hope for that, but you've been here for so many years. You must have nurtured some good things. Don't tell me you don't have them. I definitely won't believe it. Yang Wu said confidently, I have good things, but aren't you afraid that I'll kill you and devour your fire spirit? If you wanted to do that, you would have already done it. Plus, you might not be able to devour my fire spirit. You really are a confident human. You're a bit similar to my original master. Since it's like this, I'll pass my master's fire control skill to you, said the peach tree. It condensed a strand of fire seed and flew towards Yang Wu. Yang Wu didn't dare to enter the god's court directly. Instead, he had Lan Yaoji devour the fire seed. This was a memory transfer between fire seeds. Lan Yaoji receiving these memories was the same as Yang Wu receiving these memories. This was the fire control skill of the Pill clan's ancestor. It could increase Yang Wu's control over fire. Not only could it be used to refine pills, but it could also be used to unleash powerful attacks. This was a fire control skill that could pierce the heavens. Yang Wu was overjoyed. I've struck gold. Chapter 909. A fire control technique left behind by a divine master was definitely not ordinary. Yang Wu had received Little Hei's alchemy inheritance, so he was no stranger to fire control. Moreover, Blue Demonis was his heart fire, so he could have as much firepower as he wanted. His ability to control fire was extraordinary. He originally thought that he wouldn't care about the fire control technique taught to him by the flaming peach tree, but after understanding this fire control technique, he was extremely happy. This fire control technique was mainly aimed at a fire seed that had already gained intelligence. It knew how to cooperate with its master better to perfect the alchemy technique. It could further improve the compatibility between Yang Wu and Blue Demonis and minimize the probability of mistakes. Other than that, it also taught Blue Demonis how to cooperate with Yang Wu to attack, so that it could achieve the greatest destructive effect. In the past, Yang Wu rarely used Blue Demonis when he was fighting. It was not because he didn't have the corresponding battle skills, but because he mainly cultivated Water Xianxi and not Fire Xianxi. Fire Xianxi and Thunder Xianxi were both innate powers, and they were not as vigorous as the Water Xianxi that he mainly cultivated. Now that he had the fire control technique, it could help Yang Wu to multitask. When Yang Wu was fighting, Blue Demonis could achieve the miraculous effect of killing the opponent if it attacked unexpectedly. Mystical Flame Technique. This was the most delightful thing about this fire control technique that Yang Wu was most happy about. The ancestor of the Dan clan was a pure alchemist. Usually, it was difficult for such a person to have very strong attacking power. However, the ancestor of the Dan clan was an exception. He used the fire control technique to create the mystical flame technique, which could be used to explode with extremely strong fighting power. Yang Wu and Blue Demonis digested the fire control technique together with the mystical flame technique, so his mood was much better. He asked the flaming peach tree again, "If there's anything else good, give me some more. I ended up like this because of the Dan clan. You have a lot of responsibility. You really dare to take a mile after taking an inch," the flaming peach tree said. It swung its branches, and several flaming stones fell beside Yang Wu. Yang Wu took a closer look and found that it was several blocks of sacred flame stones. He was surprised and said, "Lord Fire Spirit is really generous." Without another word, he put away the sacred fire gem. Holy stones were more valuable than any other profound stones. They were also energy crystals pursued by those above the Sage Realm. Only their power could help Sage Realm experts improve their cultivation. Ordinary profound stones were not very useful to them. Yang Wu didn't dare ask for more, but who knew that the flaming peach tree would say, "I can give you some more good things, but you have to promise me one thing." Yang Wu froze for a moment before saying, "Forget it, I'm not a greedy person." The flaming peach tree wasn't human. If it was, its face would be twitching. If you're not a greedy person, then no one is. Don't worry. My request isn't that hard to accomplish. If you don't agree, then just pretend I didn't say anything. The flaming peach tree replied, Then tell me about it. No matter how strong I am, I'll still be captured by other living beings. There's no way I can escape being refined. Staying here is my fate. Now that I see you all here, I have a new idea. Since I'm going to be refined by other living beings, why don't I choose a living being that can retain my will and not refine me? That's the same as me regaining my freedom. What do you think? The flaming peach tree said with a hint of yearning in its voice. An intelligent flame seed could be said to be the spirit of all flames. After it gained sentience, it would also have its own ambitions. Moreover, the flaming peach tree had once followed a powerful master and inherited all of his will. It wasn't strange for it to have such thoughts. This is the reason why you want to possess Dan Zi, right? Yang Wu pointed at Dan Zi and said, "Actually, I might not be able to take possession of her for long. Her body can't withstand my power, and will be destroyed in the long run. Then do you want me to take you out of here? You should know that I have the essence of true fire. I don't need you, and you can't assimilate with it. I've already thought of a perfect plan. That girl has the same essence as me. I want to replace her flame seed and become her new flame seed. She will become my master. Isn't that very contradictory? After communicating with the flaming peach tree, Yangwu understood its true intentions. It was preparing to divide the flame seed's power into two and compress most of its power into one half of the flame seed. It would then merge with Danzi and leave a part of the flame seed here. This way, its power would be divided into two and Danzi wouldn't be able to withstand it. However, there were still some conditions. Danzi's body had to be tempered first and then combined with some other methods to minimize her injuries. But this way, Danzi's strength would explode and impact her foundation. In other words, her strength would advance by leaps and bounds in a short period of time. But after the breakthrough, if she wanted to continue to advance, she would need a large amount of time to rebuild her foundation. Only then would she have the opportunity to increase her realm. There were gains and losses. It all depended on how she chose. Yangwu didn't make a decision on his own. He woke Danzi up and wanted to hear her confirmation. After Danzi woke up and saw Yang Wu's pale appearance, she cried out in alarm, "Shizhuan, what happened to you?" Yang Wu waved his hand and said, "It's nothing. I want to talk to you about something. You can make your choice after you hear it." Yang Wu made a long story short and told Danzi the conditions the flaming peach tree had just stated. Danzi's expression kept changing as she listened. No matter who it was, they would immediately agree to such a good thing. But Danzi wasn't so impulsive. She still vaguely remembered everything that had just happened. "Shizhuan, will I become a puppet?" Danzi asked worriedly. Yang Wu said, "It's not that you don't have this concern, but if it really did that, it wouldn't have left your body after recovering its intelligence. There's no need for that at all. You should talk to it again. No matter what you choose, Shizhuan will respect you." Danzi said timidly, "Shizhuan, can you hold my hand? I'm a bit scared of it." Yang Wu stared blankly for a moment. Then he released his aura and enveloped Danzi within it, saying, "I'll protect you. Don't be afraid. I want to like this." Danzi shouted softly and threw her body onto Yang Wu. That heavy position pressed down on Yang Wu until he almost couldn't breathe. Yang Wu's mind almost became chaotic. He hurriedly pushed her away and said, "If you keep messing around, I'll expel you from the sect." "That's perfect. After being expelled from the sect, I won't have to worry about other people gossiping," Danzi said with charming eyes. Suddenly, Yang Wu didn't know what to do. When a woman went crazy, anyone would be afraid. Just as Yang Wu was getting angry, Danzi nonchalantly turned around and began to negotiate with the fire peach tree. Yang Wu listened on the side. He also wanted to know what Danzi and the fire peach tree were talking about. Yang Wu had always thought that Danzi was a disciple with big breasts but no brain. But after hearing her talk with the fire peach tree, he immediately had a whole new level of respect for her. He softly exclaimed in his heart, "There are no stupid women in this world." In the end, Danzi agreed to the fire peach tree's proposal. She was willing to accept the fire peach tree's willpower and become its new master. She would have to stay here for a year or so to be able to digest its power. The fire peach tree gave Yang Wu even more sacred flame stones, as well as fire refining sacred stones that could be used to refine sacred weapons. Each piece was very valuable. Yang Wu didn't care that much about the reward the fire peach tree gave him. He said to the fire peach tree, "You mustn't hurt her. If anything happens to her, even if you run to the ends of the earth, I'll completely refine you. Don't worry. I've chosen her as my master. I'll be absolutely loyal." The fire peach tree said with certainty. Yang Wu asked again, "Then how should I get out?" The fire peach tree said, "This is the Dan clan's sealed land. If I could break the seal, I would have already left. If I devour your sacred flame, I might be able to charge out." Hee, wishful thinking. You've been planning for so many years. I don't believe you don't have a backup plan. Hurry up and tell me," Yang Wu said with a cold smile. The fire peach tree had existed for who knew how many years and was intelligent. He didn't believe all of its words. "I really don't have a backup plan. I'm just a ball of fire. How can I be as resourceful as you humans? Father was killed by you, Yangwu said angrily. There's a way to try. The fire peach tree said again. Hurry up and say it. I'll lend you my power and use your divine weapon to break the seal. Then what are you waiting for? Hurry up, Yangwu said impatiently. Aren't you afraid that I'll take the chance to take over your body? The fire peach tree asked in surprise. If you have the ability, then come, Yangwu said indifferently. Yangwu's face was relaxed, but in reality, how could it be so simple? He was also afraid of death. The fire peach tree came as it said it would. It gathered all of the firepower here and swept towards Yangwu. It scared Yangwu so much that he quickly used Blue Demon Concubine to defend himself. He was afraid that the fire peach tree would take the chance to take over his body. I'll lend you my firepower. Take the chance to attack. The fire peach tree did not plan on taking advantage of Yangwu. It sent a powerful firepower in front of Yangwu. Yangwu was stunned for a moment before urging the Blue Demon Concubine to fuse with the firepower. He held the divine weapon electric fork in his hand and roared, "Break for me." The divine weapon electric fork required the power of thunder and lightning in order to unleash its power. The firepower in front of him clearly could not be fused with it. However, with the help of the majestic power of the fire, it soared into the sky with a terrifying momentum. The electric fork turned into a purple fire dragon that was over 10,000 feet long. It let out an angry roar and fiercely charged at the seal. Yangwu's heavenly thunderbone's power was activated without holding back. All of the thunder and lightning energy was gathered in the electric fork. He had to break the seal in one strike. Hong long, hong long. With the sound of the explosion, the world seemed like it was going to collapse as it kept shaking. This attack wasn't able to break the seal, and the flaming peach tree took the opportunity to attack again. The lava river surged up, and another wave of earth-shattering power rang out incessantly. Pung. Chapter 9-10. Alchemy Fire Realm. The Alchemy clan used the Alchemy Tower to suppress this realm. The Alchemy Tower was the clan's treasure. It was a divine weapon that could reach the sky. It was not as simple as a sacred weapon. After the Alchemy clan used the Alchemy Tower to suppress it, they felt that the peach-pink flames would not be able to escape. However, as many of the clan members lost their lives to the fire poison, they realized how terrifying the peach-pink flames were. They used the power of the Imperial Decree to reinforce the Alchemy Tower to ensure that nothing would go wrong. They did not allow any more flames to emerge from the ground. They cut off any connection between the peach-pink flames and the realm above to prevent the clan members from suffering any more injuries. At the same time, they were also quickly trying to salvage the situation. They took out many poison cleansing pills to reduce the damage caused by the fire poison. The people who came with Yangwu and the demons lost contact with Yangwu. They became very anxious. They were worried that Yangwu and Danzi had been killed by the Alchemy clan. When old Zue appeared in front of them and told them that Yangwu had been killed, the people and the demons were at a loss. Yangwu was their backbone. He was the one who brought them to the Transcendental Realm. Without him, they would not know how to survive in the Transcendental Realm. Moreover, this was the Alchemy clan's territory. Would the Alchemy clan let them go? Old Zue promised to take them back to the Alchemy Union's branch. He would protect them. The Alchemy clan also gave them generous compensation. They expressed their regret for Yangwu and Danzi's deaths. Master will not die. He will not die. I will wait for Master to appear before leaving, Lu Ji said with a determined expression. He felt like his heart was being cut by a knife. He could not believe that this was the truth. Su Yanshui bit his lip until it bled. He cursed, "Alchemy clan, you bastards. I will fight you to the death." He didn't have many relatives left. Yangwu was his nephew. He had extraordinary abilities, but he had died here. He was incomparably sad. He wanted nothing more than a fight with the Dan clan. Even if he died, he would have no regrets. Aisha and Xue Xiaofan didn't know what to do. They were still young and weak. Apart from the pain and anger in their hearts, they didn't know what to do. The three barbarian beasts were as furious as Su Yanshui. They wished they could fight the Dan clan to the death. The silver-patterned tortoise was more low-key. It didn't make any sound, but its eyes flickered with a hint of hostility. Unfortunately, They were too weak. Under the suppression of the old man, they had no way to resist at all. He was prepared to take them away by force. Now, it was useless to say anything. If they were allowed to act recklessly, it was not impossible for the Dan clan to throw them out. Just as Old Man Zue took them away, an earth-shattering explosion suddenly rang out above the alchemy fire world. The ground shook incessantly, and everyone from the Dan clan was startled. The pill tower that suppressed the pill fire realm was in an unstable state, which scared the saints of the pill clan. Is the peach-pink flame so terrifying? Everyone, suppress it together. We can't let it break out of the seal, Dan Richin shouted anxiously. Dozens of saints activated the power of the star runes at the same time. The colorful power of the stars flickered and shone in the sky. Strands of saint power enveloped the area, stabilizing the land within a radius of thousands of miles. There was no longer any movement. Just as the saints were about to breathe a sigh of relief, dark clouds suddenly floated over in the sky. The power of lightning was like dragons and snakes swimming in the sky. When they noticed it, the terrifying power of the heavenly lightning struck toward the pill tower. What's going on? Who attracted the strange, heavenly lightning? This is the purple cloud thunder. Gosh, why are there so many of them? We can't stop them at all. Could it be that the peach-pink flame has undergone a huge change and attracted the strange phenomenon of heaven and earth? Can the pill tower stop them? The purple cloud thunder poured down on the ground. The pill tower rose into the sky, as if it had turned into a furnace. It spewed out endless firepower and confronted the purple cloud thunder. Boom! Boom! The two peerless powers kept exploding. The terrifying destructive power scared many saints and made them quickly run away. The Pill clan's array quickly gathered and protected the clan members in time. However, there were still some weak clan members who were scared to death by the destructive power. As the power of the heavenly lightning fell, something suddenly rushed up from the ground. It was the light of a trident. Under the trident, there was a figure. It was like a proud dragon breaking out of the ground. It was majestic. The figure shouted, "I finally made it out alive." As soon as he finished speaking, he was attacked by the purple cloud thunder. To be precise, the purple cloud thunder was attacking the divine weapon in his hand. After the purple cloud thunder was injected into the divine weapon seemed to come alive. It forcibly broke free from the person's hand and collided with the pill tower that was coming to suppress it. Bang! The two divine weapons collided. The power was so shocking that it was difficult to describe it with words. It was like the stars were fiercely colliding. The sky and earth were almost turned upside down. The Dan clan's formation kept cracking, and a wave of people from the Dan clan died in an instant. Even with the protection of the saints, this tragedy could not be avoided. Under the collision of the two divine weapons, the pill tower that they were so proud of flew away. All the saints were in complete despair. They wondered if an old monster of the immortal realm had made a move, or had the peach-pink flame reached such a terrifying level. Just as they were in despair, a mighty force descended from the sky and caught the pill pagoda in its hand. The power of the palm that blotted out the sky could pluck the stars. It was quite domineering. Greetings, Grand Elder. The people of the Pill clan cried tears of joy. They all realized that their Grand Elder, who was in seclusion, had made a move at the critical moment. When the Pill Tower was caught by the palm, the purple cloud thunder suddenly disappeared. The divine weapon that was surging with momentum just now also disappeared. If one did not look at the ground that was full of holes, they would probably think that nothing had happened just now. Look at how you have made a good clan into such a mess. The Grand Elder of the Pill clan was very dissatisfied. His voice reverberated endlessly. The saints were so scared that they all bowed and trembled. They did not dare to say a word. This was an inconspicuous old man. He had a crew cut, and his hair was all white. His eyebrows and beard were also all white. However, there were not many wrinkles on his face. His skin was still very smooth, and he did not look like an old man. The Grand Elder of the Pill clan appeared in front of the person who had just broken out of the ground. Who else could it be but Yang Wu? Yang Wu used all his strength to activate the divine weapon electric fork. He thought that it would break the seal together with the fire of the flaming peach tree. In the end, it did not do so. The flaming peach tree carried the power of a lava river, but it was not able to completely break the seal. Who would have thought that after Yang Wu activated the Heavenly Thunderbone, the electric fork talent of the thunder and electromagnetic field was activated? The divine weapon electric fork seemed to have sensed his intention and took the initiative to attract the purple cloud thunder to fall, causing such a terrifying scene. However, after this release, it would not be so easy for Yang Wu to use the divine weapon electric fork again. At least, it would not help him for a short period of time. It was the same as the bronze cauldron. They both had tool spirits of the same level. If one did not have enough controlling ability, they would not take the initiative to appear and help. Yang Wu was not their first master. Only when he had the corresponding matching ability would he have the qualifications to make them completely submit to him. So young and so powerful. Are you a descendant of the Pill clan? The Grand Elder of the Pill clan asked as his sun-like eyes fell on Yang Wu. Yang Wu was suppressed to the point that he could not breathe. This was an aura that saints could not compare to. He could not look directly at the other party. He replied, I am not. Then the commotion just now was caused by you. The Grand Elder of the Pill clan asked again. No, Yang Wu denied. Don't lie in front of me. The Grand Elder of the Pill clan shouted as he moved to grab Yang Wu's head. Seeing that Yang Wu was about to be captured by the Grand Elder of the Pill clan, Dan Richen's voice rang out. Grand Elder, please show mercy. In the blink of an eye, over 10 saints rushed over from different directions. Old Zue was also among the crowd. When he saw Yang Wu, he cried out in shock. Good lad, you can still come out alive. You are really good. Old Monster Dan, don't hurt the holy elder of our alliance. When Yang Wu saw that old Zue was still around, his heart instantly relaxed. At the same time, a flaming peach tree rapidly grew out from the ground. On the flaming peach tree, there was a delicate young girl. She was very eye-catching. Peach pink flame has appeared. The saint of the Pill clan exclaimed. Hurry up and suppress it. It is full of fire poison. Our clansmen will all be killed by it. Another person shouted. Noisy. The Grand Elder of the Pill clan said in a thunderous voice. Instantly, all the saints didn't dare to speak anymore. The Grand Elder of the Pill clan's gaze landed on Dan Z and the flaming peach tree. There was a hint of surprise in his old eyes. He asked, Hualing, what are you trying to do? At the same time, a powerful aura spread out from his body, sealing the space in this area. No one could think of escaping. The source of the fire poison has been completely removed. I have chosen to acknowledge her as my master. The flaming peach tree replied simply. Dan Richen frowned and said, She has already become your puppet. Don't try to quibble. I was lost for a moment and caused a huge disaster. Fortunately, he stopped me in time. You should all be grateful to him. Moreover, only he can completely remove the fire poison disaster. I hope you all can take care of yourselves. The flaming peach tree replied seriously. Dan Richen couldn't determine the truth of the matter and couldn't make the decision. He could only look at their Grand Elder and let him make the decision. Is she a child of my clan? The Grand Elder of the Pill clan asked Dan Richen. She is a child of my clan's bloodline. Hualing, why did you choose her as your master? The innate fire that she awakened comes from the same source as mine. Who else would I choose if not her? Very good. In the future, she will follow by my side and be personally taught by me.